Welcome to the football show on a Saturday afternoon. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McInnes is with me. Every Saturday we bring you the half-time scores and of course full-time reports, as well as managers and players reacting to the scores in the Scottish Premiership. We cover the Championship, League 1 and League 2, as well as looking at the English Premier League. Well, there are 5 matches today in the Scottish Premiership. One of them finished earlier on at Tynecastle. Kerry Pollock was there to watch Hearts against Ross County.
Full time here at Tynecastle, and it finishes here today. Hearts 6, Ross County 1. It was a magnificent win for Kevin Nisbet, getting his first win as the man here in charge of the Gorgie side. Came from a Lawrence Shankland hat-trick, a double from Janelli and one from Alex Cochrane to seal his side. All 3 points here this afternoon. In fact, all 3 goal scorers had their name on the score sheet within the opening 30 minutes here today. As for Lawrence Shankland, he added his second on the brink of the half-time whistle. Into the second half, Ross County did make a few changes, but that didn't stop Shankland netting his third and Janelli his second. Ross County did score a consolation penalty through Edwards near the end of the game this afternoon, but no points for Malcolm Mackay's side leads them that bit closer to falling down the trapdoor that leads to the Championship. It finishes here at Tynecastle, Hearts 6, Ross County 1.
What a scoreline that was, Tam. I didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I didn't. I thought Hearts would win the game, Peter. I think that they took a lot of criticism during the week. I think that Josh Janelli coming back was a huge boost for them. He's got pace, he can run in behind, and I think that maybe left a little bit of room for Shankland today to work with. So, fantastic result for Hearts, puts them right back in the mix, and I think they're now the only team that's got a plus goal difference in the league. They've now got they managed to knock a few goals, and that's actually devastating for Ross County. Ross County, if they're going to get beat once, they get beat maybe by 1 or 2, but that's made their goal difference to hammering as well.
Yeah. Hi to Paul Brady. Bartholomew Rab is in Nevada, no less. Great to see you, Rab, joining the show. Michael Gorman, Ronnie Chapman. Brian says, Tam, less than 3,000 Hibs fans. He's counted them at the game against St Johnstone. Hope you've been practising your press-ups, but I think there's about 3,300, so you're safe.
Yes, I am safe. 3,300.
Yep. Of course, James Dempster's a little bit more negative about the whole thing. James says, is Malky sacked yet? Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because 6-1 usually puts you under real pressure, but I think we're so close to the end of the season. I think he's going to take them all the way there. And the big games for Ross County are coming against the bottom half. Elsewhere, thanks very much to Tony, who joins us, Michael and Norman as well. If you want to pass comment and obviously offer us your opinion, we're more than happy to take it. Half time's just about to get into the second half in most of the games. What about Celtic Park? Adam Binney.
Half time at Celtic Park. Celtic 1, Motherwell 0, as Ange Postecoglou's side looks set to taking another big step towards securing back-to-back domestic league titles in Scotland. It's all thanks to a goal from captain Callum McGregor in the 24th minute, around 20-25 yards from goal. He looks to barrel a shot at goal with his left foot. It takes a deflection off the toe of Motherwell defender Dan Casey and just lands in the bottom corner thereafter. Plenty of chances for Celtic, dominating all of the ball. Maeda could have had a couple himself as they go in pursuit of breaking that Scottish Premiership all-time goals in a season tally. It currently stands at 106, Celtic just 3 away at 103 just now. But at half-time it stands Celtic 1, Motherwell 0.
Yeah, so Callum McGregor leading by example as the captain. What about elsewhere? St Johnstone against Hibs. Of course, there's a big battle going on for top 6. Our man up there at McDermott Park is Patrick Mullen.
I'm here at McDermott Park, and it's St Johnstone 1, Hibernian 1, which means as it stands, Hibs will be going through to the top 6 after the split. It was a poor start by Lee Johnston's men, and St Johnstone capitalised on that one in the 24th minute. A poor corner was cleared just over the head of Stevie May, and on the edge of the box he flicks the ball up and hits an overhead kick into the bottom right hand corner. Hibs did fight back though. Just 5 minutes later they had their equaliser. That one coming through Lewis Stevenson. Eddie Lujan on the left hand side plays the ball to him on the edge of the box, and his right footed strike finds the bottom right hand corner to send the 4,000 Hibs fans into a frenzy. It's all to play for in the second half, and Lee Johnstone will be hoping for a few more goals to make this one a bit more comfortable. But at half time in Perth, it is St Johnstone 1, Hibernian 1.
Could be up against it now, down to 10 men, Hibs.
Yeah, I just seen that they got man sent off. We're still to find out who that was, but yeah, they're up against it. I think a point could possibly be enough now. You know, obviously Dundee United beating Livingston, but and St Mirren getting beat as well. So the 3 clubs that were pushing for the top 6, none of them are winning at the minute. So Hibs might get away with it, but 10 men now for the full second half. Yeah,
and I think a packed St Mirren Stadium, certainly not anticipating that first 45 minutes, as Alison McConnell reveals.
St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. Goals from Liam Donnelly and Christian Doig have given Kilmarnock a precious lead to hang on to here in Paisley, where St Mirren are looking on anxiously at their top 6 fortunes. Donnelly netted the opening goal of the game after some clever hold-up play from Kyle Vassell had put him through. Donnelly took a touch, took his time and calmly dispatched the ball past Trevor Carson. It got better again for Kilmarnock just 10 minutes before the break when Doig rose to meet Danny Armstrong's cross and head in off the post for only their 8th away goal of the season. It's been a nervous performance for St Mirren, who have offered very little in attacking sense. Their only real moment of note has come from a Ryan Strain free kick after Keanu Bacchus had been fouled at the edge of the box. With results elsewhere going in their favour, however, they could stay in that top 6 place, virtue of their 6th place finish at the minute. However, they'll want to take matters into their own hands. If Kilmarnock, however, in 11th place hang on to the points, then they would move 4 points clear ahead of bottom of the table Ross County. An intriguing second half and wait here in Paisley, where it's currently St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2.
Yeah, so I didn't see that one coming at all, but if there's any developments there in front of that packed Smytsa Stadium, we'll keep you up to date with it on a Saturday afternoon, where you can interact with us, Tam and I, just a bit of banter here and there, throw in the odd quiz question and have a bit of fun with you, as well as telling you about some of the other news items as well. Before we go to the Championship, I thought I might throw in a wee question about the man of the moment. Certainly in European football, Jose Mourinho is loved by the Roma fans. How many trophies has Jose Mourinho won as a manager? And I'm not counting Charity Shields, because I know Roy Keane doesn't like you count them. How many trophies do you think he's won as a manager? And he's been around.
30.
Okay, give us your answer to that one. We will give you the answer at the end of the programme. Quite a good question. What about the Championship? Well, we sent our man Ali Graham out there to New Douglas Park to see Hamilton against Partick Thistle.
Half time here at the ZLX Stadium, and it's Hamilton Accies 1, Partick Thistle 1. It's been all Thistle in the first half, and they might rue the missed chances. Brian Graham had the first chance in the opening 5 minutes, and he volleyed straight at Ryan Fulton. Scott Martin, the Accies midfielder, then cleared one off the line. Steve Lawless, who has been running the show, then played in Aidan Fitzpatrick, and he shot past from 18 yards when he really should have scored. The opener came in 28 minutes. Kyle Turner found Brian Graham at the back post, and his header found the back of the net. Accies came back into it. 36 minutes, they levelled. Connor Smith sent in a corner, and Dan O'Reilly hammered the ball home. Half time here at the ZLX Stadium, Accies 1, Thistle 1.
Do you know what I love about Big Ali there? Midway through that, he was trying to remember the name, so he just looked up to the sky, thought about the name, and then eventually got it. That's what I love about the big man. That's a striker who thinks, well, I'll wait till I get a good first touch in, and then I'll move forward again.
It sounds like a decent game there. I think obviously both teams needing the points desperately in that game. Partick Thistle to get in the playoffs and Hamilton to stay up. So I still fancy Thistle to go and win the game in the second half, right enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if you have just joined us, welcome along to the Saturday Football Show. Tam McManus here with me, Peter Martin, and delighted that you could join us, and thank you to so many of you for hitting the subscribe button as well. Let me tell you, in the Premiership, as well as Hearts 6, Ross County 1, that match finished, we'll hear from the interim manager Stevie Naismith and a rather unhappy Malky Mackay at the end of that drubbing at Tynecastle. Celtic 1, Motherwell 0, Dundee United 1, Livingston 0, St Johnstone 1, Hibs 1, and Hibs down to 10 men. Jego's been sent off in that man, straight red. St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. In the Championship, Arbroath 0, Cove Rangers 0. It's Hamilton Accies 1-1, as you just heard there from Ali. Inverness Cally Thistle 0, Dundee 0, and Greenock Morton 1, Wraith Rovers 0. In League 1, no goals between Airdrieonians and Dunfermline. Falkirk are 2 up at Alloa. It's 1-1 between Edinburgh and Kelty Hearts. Peterhead 1, Clyde 0, and Queen of the South 2, Montrose 3. That's a 5-goal thriller there. And in League 2, it's Albion Rovers 1, Stenhousemuir 0. No goals between Dumbarton and East Fife. It's Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Stirling Albion 1, Annan Athletic 1, and Stranraer 1, Elgin City 0. And let's not forget, in the English Premier League, there was one match finished earlier today. Fulham 2, Leeds United 1. Not great news for Leeds. Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, Leicester 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, and Liverpool were a goal up, but it's just an equaliser in the last couple of minutes from Nottingham Forest to make that 1-1. So there you are, you're completely up to date with what's happening, and thanks very much to so many of you for giving us some mentions as well. And also just saying hello from near and far, because the great thing about it is so many people listen to and watch the programme, not only on the podcast, but somebody actually questioned one of our reporters and says, I can't quite get the lives, he said, of the show sometimes. I get really angry when I miss it. And they said to him, you know that if you miss the live show Monday to Friday, you can actually watch it later on. And it was like
that's something that Ruffy would come out with, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Ruffy's not grasped the catch up on ITV or BBC. You can watch all 8 episodes at once.
Yeah.
Ruffy waits every week to watch the second one and the third one. You could literally watch them one week and he waits 6 weeks to watch it.
There is a man who loves analogue television. But anyway, if you want to, and Blackadder says, any press ups, Tam? Well, I don't know if you're aware of this. Some people are demanding a count on this, but it's actually over 3,000 fans have travelled from Edinburgh.
Big club, Hibs, big club.
Big club.
Diddy clubs.
I know you were going to say that. You were thinking about it. Try not to alienate yourself from everybody in the whole of Scottish football. Let's get a quick report on what happened at Dundee United in the first half.
Half-time here at Tannadice, and it's Dundee United 1, Livingston 0. The hosts set out strong and were rewarded after 17 minutes. Harkes took the ball up the pitch, crossed over to Jamie McGrath, who then put a low ball into the corner of the box. Dundee United 1, Livingston 0. Livingston are going to have to pull out something special in the next 45 minutes and hope that results go their way in other games, with hopes of keeping their top 6 dream alive. I'll keep you updated with a full-time report here at Tannadice. You can check out on the Football Show live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.
I love Claire. She always likes to do a wee bit of promotion at the end of it.
Plug in at the end there. Absolutely.
She's absolutely superb. Yep, absolutely. It's none of your 42 producers. It's the whole team just work efficiently. Listen, 6-1 is a great result for Hearts, and as you would imagine, Stevie Naismith undoubtedly will have a smile on his face.
It'll give him loads of confidence because it breaks that rut of not winning. But I've said before, and I think people were second guessing and trying to make or understand the comments I was making. There's a good group of players here who want to do well, who have been successful. This has probably been the most challenging time since they've been at the club. But the show today, they were brave. I think in the past is the amount of times we've passed back to our goalie is far too much. Today it maybe happened once or twice at the right moments. So in terms of our choice of pass was much better, which creates the opportunities. So it's really pleasing overall. Okay, he is happy, he just hasn't told his face, to be honest with you, because he's got a 6-1 win. Tellingly though, he did mention something there. He wants the team to play on the front foot. And quite simply, when you're constantly, teams who go for that pass back, you only have to look at the debacle of European football in midweek with De Gea, Ramsdale last night with Arsenal. This passing the ball back, I just think it's a complete load of stupidity.
No, I think it is. I think when you're a club, particularly when you're playing at Tynecastle, Peter, in my opinion, it's the tightest ground in Scottish football. It's difficult to play out and play through teams. Teams will come to Tynecastle and sit in, get the ball forward. I'm not talking about lumping the ball at the pitch. Get quality forward into your strikers, into their chest, into their feet. Get it wide, get crosses in. It's not, it's a simple game. It's complicated at times, but Hearts done it today. They got the ball forward. Shanklin got a hat trick. I think they had 7 or 8 corners. They put Ross County under pressure. They made them defend. And when you put teams under pressure, particularly at Tynecastle, then you get your rewards, and 6-1's a fantastic result.
Yeah, absolutely superb. Not so good for, let's be honest about it, Ross County were absolutely woeful in the back line. And they've got the second best defence in the league.
I think it's the manner of the defeat that shocked me. I thought Hearts would win the game. But 6-1, it was 6-0 with 25 minutes to go. So Malky Mackay will be raging with that performance, that result. And as I said, it could come down at the end of the season at goal difference. They're all tight down there. There's only a point or 2 separating 3 or 4 teams. Goal number 24 of the season for Kevin Van Veen. Equalised for Motherwell. Celtic 1, Motherwell 1. I tell you what, you're talking about player of the year. This is the right time for him. The right time when the votes are getting into the scoring, and people are saying, he's not doing it against Celtic. There's the best team in the country by a mile. He's went to Parkhead and scored. So that'll do him no end of good for Motherwell. I was listening to the radio on the way in. They started the game really well, Motherwell. They put Celtic under pressure, and maybe Celtic have got one eye on the semi-final next week, but you still expect him to go and win that game.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you're looking at a situation where he's got to be one of the nominees for Player of the Year.
No, I think he will be. I think he'll be in the 4. Listen, if he scores 30 goals this season, he's got 24, did you say?
Yeah.
He's got another 5 games to go. If he scores another 6, 30 goals, he'd be very, very hard pressed to put somebody against him.
Well, Kyogo's on 29.
Well, it's far, far easier to score goals for Celtic than it is for Motherwell. I mean, far easier.
Do you think that would be a greater?
If Kevin Van Veen scores 30 goals this season for Motherwell, he should be the Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, it's an interesting point. He's
still got a long way to go, but 30 goals for Motherwell, Player of the Year.
And again, some people get really angry about it all, but it's not us that vote. It's the players who vote for each other.
And the players have been obviously an ex-player myself. You're looking here going, he's playing for Motherwell. They've been doing the bottom of the league all season.
Yeah.
You're playing with Celtic, and we've seen Celtic keep the ball 70-80%. They've got 10 corners every game. They've got 30 shots.
But can I just say something to you? It's not player stat of the year. It's Player of the Year as well. So players take into consideration the complete player and what he does off the ball, on the ball, his work rate, his passing, his skill. So it's not just, you scored 30 goals, you must be Player of the Year. Do you follow me?
Yeah, no, but I think his all-round games are excellent as well. So
yeah.
No, I think, as I said, if Van Veen, he's got 5 games to go after this to score 6 goals. He scores 30, I think he'll be Player of the Year.
Okay, interesting point. You can give us your thoughts on that on our feed. What about the manager of Ross County, Malky Mackay? Witnessed something that's not been a regular occurrence for Ross County. It's a long while since somebody took 6 off them. Here's what he had to say.
We were way off it today. Hearts were excellent. Give them the credit where it's due. I suppose it's happened, as far as I was just saying to staff there, it's happened twice this season, early in the season against Motherwell, who were really off it at home, and that's the second one. And we've just got to get back on track again. We've come off the back of 3 good performances, and we've on a day where everyone to a man was under par, and that's what happens when you are in the opposition are doing well. So we've got to make sure that going into these last 5 games now, that we get back on the way we've been playing over the last few weeks actually.
Yeah, it's an incredible. Rangers and Celtic both took 4 off Ross County, and then of course Motherwell took 5 off them, but that one there has been completely overshadowed by Hearts taking 6 of them. It's very rare, and that's why he's usually, as you would expect from Malky, he's got them so well organised at the back, but today it was just one calamity after another.
Yeah, it was, and I watched them last week against Aberdeen. I thought they defended pretty well. Obviously it's a different kettle of fish going to Tynecastle, but as I said, I fancied Hearts to bounce back from last week. They took a lot of criticism. I think they're starting to get players back. Josh Ginnelly, I think, is a big player for them. But in terms of their goal difference, that's a mortal blow, because, as I said, that could be worth an extra point at the end of the season. If you're sitting and you get 9 or 10 goals better off than the other team, it's basically a point. So I think he'll be devastated by the performance and the result, but losing the 6 goals kills him in terms of the league position.
Goal number 19 of the season for Craig White, and he scored for Dunfermline away to Airdrieonians. So again, James McPake was in our studio talking about Craig White, and he knows that when he goes into the Championship, Craig White's going to need help. He's going to need somebody else up there alongside him to chip in with the goals, because it's a standard above again. But Whiting's done magnificently well. Yeah,
I think he obviously burst onto the scene, didn't he? He burst onto the scene up at Dundee and stuff like that, and got his move to Hearts. I think he's a very good player, but you're right, I think it's a big step up from League One to the Championship. Basically playing against mostly full-time teams rather than part-time teams for a start. So, but great to see him back scoring goals. 19 goals, great, and hopefully he can repeat that up a division.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about this Saturday show, Tom? It's a wee bit different from the norm, because if we come out with any line at all, it's like in a bar. It's the only thing missing is you and I having a lager, arguing with everybody who's absolutely giving us pelters. Paul Brady says, "You're having a Van Veen, Player of the Year, come on, Hatate or Calmac all day long." Also, Michael Harrison says it's got to be Callum McGregor. Keith Berry, McGregor, Player of the Year. And Blackadder, I think he's just having a wee wind up here. He says surely Ryan Kent for Player of the Year.
No chance. But I'm talking about if Kevin Van Veen scores 30 goals for Motherwell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter, he's got to be in the first couple. And you know, there's nobody else got those numbers outside the Old Firm.
What do you make of Cally Thistle 0 Dundee 1, Tam?
Oh, I think that's a fantastic result for Dundee, Peter.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a massive Dundee fan this season, and my old club, that would be a huge result. Obviously, Queen's Park drawn last night, you know, and the levelling points. Dundee win that game today, they've got Cove Rangers in the next game at home, and if they win that, they win the league. So fingers crossed they can hold on to that.
Yeah,
on the D.
Yeah. If we're talking about catchphrases, usually I'll say, if I'm talking about somebody who's a good lad, and Tam's catchphrase more often than not is my old club, because there's been so many of them. So it's very rare that you haven't played for anybody apart from maybe Rangers and a couple of MLS sides. But Tam will keep you up to date with all his old clubs. We're just wondering if there's going to be any kind of fight back from St Mirren for all their fans there against Kilmarnock. I didn't see Kelly scoring 2 against them.
So if St Mirren get beat and Livingston draw, is that still not enough? Does Livingston need to win?
Livingston need to win.
Right.
They need a win.
They might get away with it. If Livingston equalise up at Dundee United, I think there'll be a few nervous fans at St Mirren Park. But I think as long as the results are as they are now, then I think they'll be relatively calm.
St Mirren's goal difference is better than Livingston's.
Right. So Livingston would miss out on goal difference then?
Goal difference would be, well, no. Right now, the way it's looking, I think St Mirren are on 44 and Livingston are on 42. Livingston need to win.
Right, okay.
So it's as simple as that. So it's all to play for. Can you imagine missing out in goal difference, or just even by a point? If you
you're maybe thinking about 1 or 2 games where you've maybe lost 5 or 6.
Absolutely,
it just kills your goal difference. But I don't see Livingston coming back from 1-0 at Tannadice. I think Dundee United have shown in the last couple of weeks that they're back in form.
They've got a bit about them, haven't they?
Yeah, I thought they defended really well, particularly against Hibs and against Motherwell last week to close Van Veen out. Only scored 1 goal, but
the only problem I have with it all, Tam, is if you're Jim Good, when you're looking, you're saying to yourself, really, Kilmarnock, we had a chance to put a bit of distance between ourselves, and that St Mirren result has certainly caught everybody in the hop.
Bad day for Ross County.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because once you get cut off from it. Although I have to say, Tam, I still think there's a twist in the tail because they're all playing against each other at the bottom. And
they all become, you know, we talk about the old cliche 6-pointers, but they literally are 6-pointers. And you know, you've got an opportunity when you go into those bottom six fixtures to really, you know, put pressure on the teams round about you. And as I said, you're never ever done until you're mathematically safe. St Johnstone now got a real opportunity, basically guarantee their safety, you know, against 10 men up at McDermott Park. We Hibs down to 10 men, but this could be a shocking day for Ross County. It really could. Dundee United winning, Kilmarnock winning. Kilmarnock have picked up 2 points away from home all season, and they're they could possibly better that in 1 game. So I think that tells you all you need to know about how bad Kilmarnock have been away from home this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, with a bit of luck, we might hear more from Tynecastle and Stevie Naismith and what he's got to say. Might even hear from Kerry with a bit of luck from Tynecastle, because you watch 7 goals fly in there. I think when you start to see 6 or 7 of them, you start to worry about how you're going to sum up your match report, you know, especially if the goals come in late on. But she did a sterling job for us, so we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. We certainly will hear from a number of our reporters at the end of the game, as well as managers and players as well, giving us reaction. So various people obviously making changes. They make changes just beyond the hour to try and, you know, prompt some kind of change in their fortunes. And I think Ange Postecoglou has thrown on to see if he can grab a goal to get them back in front. 1-1 at Celtic Park. Yeah,
and listen, I think a lot of people would expect his Celtic to steamroller Motherwell today. I think that you know, the team they put out, maybe you're maybe got one eye on next week, but Kevin Van Veen seems to be causing Celtic a lot of problems. You know, this could be, I think he's 31 years old, he's coming up for 32. This could be his maybe one big move on him. You know, I don't want Motherwell fans throwing things at the screen at the minute, but I think if you're 31 and you score 25-30 goals, then you maybe think to yourself, right, I've got one more big move in me. But Listen, I think there's 25-30 minutes left at Celtic Park. You would still expect Celtic to have the quality, particularly in the latter stages, to win.
Yeah, I'm just looking there, Tam, and Nottingham Forest have equalised again. Gibbs White, Jota had scored 2 for Liverpool, and it's now back at Liverpool 2, Nottingham Forest 2.
How bad Liverpool defensively. They just leak goals every week. I couldn't tell you the last time they had a clean sheet.
Well, I was reading somewhere that this is going to be the biggest transition and rebuild for Jurgen Klopp for Liverpool, but certainly having watched them at close quarters, big changes needed there. Big changes coming, of course, over the summer as well for Rangers. Michael Beale has been looking at a couple of targets. He's obviously wanting to try and get as many of the new players bedded in and ready for those Champions League qualifiers when they arrive at the start of the new season. It's going to be crucial. We'll hear from Michael Beale and from Todd Cantwell ahead of their match-up at Pittodrie, Aberdeen against Rangers a little later in the show. It's a Saturday afternoon. This is where we try and keep you right up to date with all the goals that fly in. We also have our reporters giving you full-time reports, managers and players. Where else are you getting it? And a wee bit of banter as well. And of course, let's not forget, Tam, terrestrial television is dead. Who in the hell wants to watch it?
Get on the PLZ YouTube channel.
Yeah, you might as well. Rather than give it all this state, I've got a coat hanger on my back, you might as well have us two caning each other, and of course all the punters caning you as well, Tam, because Michael says, I thought all Tam's clubs had gone bankrupt. There's a few who are still surviving,
a couple
Tam.
still solvent at the minute, but either bankrupt or relegated. I think the only place I'm welcome back is Falkirk.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only team I played with never went bust or get relegated.
That's good news for next year's Falkirk dinner. Because Ruffy and I did it this year, and it was a right blast, I have to tell you. There was so many people open mouthed. I think they're used to in Falkirk a nice host who doesn't hammer them, and they were in for a right shock that night, by the way, because we absolutely battered everybody. We had a good night last week, didn't we, for Rutherglen Glencairn under 17s?
We did, a brilliant night actually, and great people running it, and great laugh. I mean,
fantastic.
The worst thing you can do at those gigs when you're hosting it is shout out and be a nuisance, because that guy was drunk, because he'd wake up the next day thinking I got absolutely slaughtered there. Yeah,
absolutely. There's nothing worse than a heckler, Tam, but we can handle them, to be perfectly honest with you. Celtic 1, Motherwell 1 in the Scottish Premiership. Just in case you've joined us near and far, we welcome you to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Over and above that, Dundee United leading Livingston by 1-0. St Johnstone 1, Hibs 1 and St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. That's how it looks in the Premiership. In England, Brentford leading Aston Villa by 1-0. Crystal Palace and Everton, it's still nervy there. Everton could do with an away win. Leicester 1, Wolves 1 and Liverpool 2, Wolverhampton, Nottingham Forest 2.
Mo Salah.
He scored the goal. Brilliant. He's a fabulous player.
He is a great player.
I'm wondering now if he's close to getting into what I would call the all-time Liverpool 11. You know,
who would your two strikers be now?
Oh, it's Dalglish and Rush by an absolute country mile.
Fowler there.
Yeah, well, Fowler's on the bench.
Fernando Torres.
You know, Torres on the bench. You know, they're all. Salah's close, by the way.
Who would you play him wide?
But I can't tell John Barnes. Are you kidding me? John Barnes is a 10 times better player than Mo Salah. Are you kidding me? My team's, I think I've got a 4-3-3, and that's just to try and accommodate Souness, Gerrard and John Barnes in behind Dalglish, Rush, and you could possibly get Salah up front in the 4-3-3 if I played it that way, Tam.
Possibly.
And then you're looking, you say to yourself, the back four's tough to pick as well. You know,
because Van Dijk would have been a certainty, but he's having a shocker this season.
Oh, he is, isn't he? You know,
I don't think he doesn't look the same player coming back for that knee injury. It doesn't. He's not got that burst of acceleration.
Yeah, he's also not helped by players like Trent Alexander and.
His two full-backs are just like that, bombing forward, so it leaves him exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of football to talk about, including, of course, FA Cup semi-finals this weekend in England. Man City take on Sheffield United, and it's, of course, Brighton against Manchester United. And next weekend, Tam's a belter, isn't it? I mean, I cannot wait. It's Rangers versus Celtic on the Sunday, and then Falkirk and Inverness on the Saturday.
Oh. Two great games, and as I said, I think that obviously the Old Firm game takes care of itself, but I think for the Falkirk and Inverness fans, and I know quite a lot of Falkirk fans, and they're excited about the game, they want to win it and all that, but they're really fearful of the final, particularly if Celtic get through. I mean, because as I think that semi-final against Celtic Rangers is the final. Whoever wins that will win the Scottish Cup, and I think if you're particularly a Falkirk, a League One club, you're delighted that you got there, but you're just praying and hoping on the day that you don't get absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, thanks to Michael Harrison, who says Steve Highway is better than Mo Salah. Steve Highway was a great player as well. I loved Steve Highway just balling down
drive
that.
as well, didn't he?
But yeah, absolutely. That's the first one of the afternoon. There's more to come if you want to hear rotten puns. Tam's got a million of them, fires them in there regularly, but usually just waits silently to see if you guess them. Steve Highway on that left hand side, cutting in, great player, loved him. But you know, the back line's getting, as you say, dodgy to pick an all-time 11. As far as Saturday afternoon is concerned, there's a few twists and turns in this one. I think we all look and we try and pick our predictor and say this is going to happen, that's going to happen, but I didn't see Kilmarnock, and I maybe did see Dundee United because they've been on that run. And of course, listen, just out of curiosity, Tam, in case you're not aware of it, we had our reporters out ahead of the games, asking some of the fans some of the main topics that we want to hear their thoughts on, because we want to get the fans' thoughts on the football as well. And we had more than a few of our reporters interview a few of the fans to get their thoughts on things. First of all, the Dundee United fans. Here's some of the Dundee United fans on Jim Goodwin.
What's your thoughts on Jim Goodwin as manager so far?
I think it's like an actual manager who's came in for once instead of more like a head coach. So it's good to see he's gave us a bit of discipline and like more fighting desire than we had with Liam Fox and Jack Ross early on in the season.
How do you think it should be going forward?
Well, if they keep him on, I think he's got the right man for the job.
Since Jim Goodwin's taken over, what do you make of United?
I feel like they've been a better side. The attitude's been better. Like, of course, Fox kind of ruined it, and Jack Ross, but apart from that, we've been alright. Defence is definitely looking similar, but we just need to see what happens, and hopefully the split gives us some good luck.
A lot of the fans weren't warming to him initially when he first came here. You know, do you think there's been a big shift in the thoughts on him?
Oh, absolutely, because he didn't do too well at Aberdeen early on in the season, but since when he's came in, there's been a significant improvement of the results throughout the season.
He's got a good track record so far. I mean, what do you make of the match ahead of today?
Well, can only hope. But before, I never liked the man as a manager or a player, but he's doing well since he's come here. I was a bit wary, but up till now he's done really well.
Do you think that we should keep him?
Yeah. I think we should keep him, but football's a changing game, so you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, great to hear from the Dundee United fans. I don't think some of them realise that Oasis have split up. I don't know about yourself, Tam.
That guy with a bucket hat at the end.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Another guy seemed to hate Jim Goodwin as a manager and a player.
Yeah.
Seems to have come round.
That's
that older guy.
That's a real boot, isn't it? Where the sun don't shine. Talk about a backhanded compliment. But that was the Dundee United fans, of course. Right now, I think St Johnstone, when you look at what's been happening over the last couple of weeks, it's certainly been a main bone of contention. Some people split on it. Callum Davis and Shirley have been sacked. They're 1-1 at the moment against Hibernian. And this is what some of the Saints fans thought about the sacking.
I think it was the right decision at the right time. I don't think it's a reflection on him himself, but the selection he was using on the team.
I think it was the right decision in the end. Callum Davis done really well at the start, but last two seasons we've been kind of scraping relegation, so I think we do need some kind of change as well. But I think it's the players' fault as well, not just Callum Davis.
I thought it was a pretty good decision. Bit poor from some fans, like just not expecting him in a lot, but he done really good winning us a double cup, and good manager. Don't blame them, but I think it was time for him to go.
Yeah, so I think everybody, the general consensus, and we had a great email in midweek, general consensus was they were watching the football and it just wasn't good, and he just didn't seem to be able to get a trick out of them, and that's when there's a need for change.
Yeah, listen, they were hurtling towards the bottom of the league, Peter. You know, 2 wins I think in 16 games. You know, and listen, I think Callum Davis I think they'll build a statue of him outside the place. I think they'll build a statue of him. There's not another manager in St Johnstone's history that will win 2 trophies in one season. It'll never happen again. And you know, but I think it was the right time. There's only so much credit you can have. You know, you can't just say like you've got a job. You've won 2 trophies as a job for life. You know, they've been poor for about 18 months. So I think it was the right call from St Johnstone. And as I said, if they can beat Hibs today, you know, and they all but guarantee their safety.
Yeah, it's interesting you saying that, because although the St Johnstone fans think it was the right time for change, they certainly acknowledge what you've just said about the contribution of Callum Davis. And here's a banner that was put out there on the screen. You made the impossible dream our reality. Thank you, Callum. And I think it's a lovely touch from some of the Saints fans.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that obviously, listen, he's an absolute legend, Callum Davison at St Johnstone. So, listen, I just think that it was the right time. I think to maybe get a fresh face in there, a fresh voice, you know, something different to try and give them a bit of a boost, because the form over the last 18 months, as I said, they only survived last season in the playoffs against Inverness. And this season they were hurtling towards the bottom, so I think it was the right decision.
Yeah, okay. Celtic 1, Motherwell 1, Dundee United 1, Livingston 0, St Johnstone and Hibs 1-1, and still St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. Celtic obviously with all the pressure now trying to get that goal to go back in front. And what about the Celtic fans? With the big debate we've been having this week, everybody's talking about 17 straight wins for Celtic, and of course marching on towards the title, trying to chase that goals record of 106. Celtic are currently on 102 this year under Ange Postecoglou. So as you get two teams that have performed well over the years, in the last 20 years, people are starting to compare Martin O'Neill's 2003 side to Ange Postecoglou's 2023 side, and here's what some of the Celtic fans made of it all.
Current Celtic team, definitely. Big Ange in it, never stopped, and just the way we play football and stuff, so I would say this football team, definitely.
It's a tough one, I've seen both of them. But under Ange, the players are playing well. Some of the signings he's made, Hatate, Kyogo. It's a hard one, but this current team, there's something about them.
Like, as much as I love the current team, like it's not going to beat that team yet. Like, you've Larson, Hearts and them boys, like they're the kings of the minute. Like,
I reckon the current Celtic team is better.
Why is that?
Why? I think we've got great attacking players, got some good midfielders, there's some cracking attackers, we've got a great goalie, consistency's there. I think when they play well, they play fantastic.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure, it's a different era, right? But I'd have to say the way this team play under Ange's management, yes, second to none.
There's a certain way to wear a hat, isn't there, Tam?
It's not like that, Noddy. It's like Noddy, the guy for the Twix advert.
Exactly, but to be fair to him, fair play to him, he gave us some great points there. But I don't know about you, but I love people watching in it. Celtic Park, Tannadice and McDermott Park. Great to see the fans chatting on the show.
No, that's me. I think it's great. It's great to get their opinions. You know, we obviously speak in here and give our opinion, but it's great to see the fans' opinions as well. But in terms of the 2003 team to this team, I obviously played against the 2003 team. Yeah. The season they got to the final in Seville, and people need to forget. Don't forget that Celtic got a European final. Can you see this Celtic team getting to a European final? I can't. And I look at both teams, and I think the goalkeeper Joe Hart would get into Martin O'Neill's team.
Yep.
Callum McGregor, I think would possibly get in.
For who? Petrov, Lennon, Lambert?
I think he's a better player than Neil Lennon.
No.
I think Callum McGregor's a better player than Neil Lennon.
No.
And who else? Apart from that, maybe two. I don't see any other Celtic players of this current team getting in that Celtic team back then, bar McGregor and Hart.
Yeah, well, I think definitely McGregor, Kyogo, Hatate definitely would be on the Celtic bench, and Joe Hart maybe pushing Rob Douglas. It's an interesting one. It's always good for a bit of banter. Michael Harrison says Callum Davison should have moved on when his stock was high. Michael, I can't disagree with you on that. Sometimes though, it's just getting the right club out. The early kick-off today was at Tynecastle. It was Hearts 6, Ross County 1. A hat-trick for Lawrence Shanklin, and rightly deserving of the praise from the manager, Stephen Naismith.
He did. I think as much as Shanks hasn't scored that many recently, it's been the whole team situation that's stopped that. He's been getting one chance, if that, in a game. And the quality of that chance hasn't really been that high. We give him good chances, he'll score, because he's a real threat. He's progressed as a player over the years. He's a much more all-round player, as you've seen today. He's intelligent to drop in or go in behind if he needs to. He's the one that hits the bar. You ain't teaching that. That's just getting on it and having the touch and the finesse to guide that over the goal. And he's unlucky with that one, but the whole team is really good.
What's your take on 25 goals if he gets to 30 goals?
Is that how many Shanklin scored?
25.
there's another guy. He's been off the boil over the last 2 or 3 weeks, as he said there. But I think as an ex-striker myself, sometimes when the team's playing well, you seem to be scoring goals, and then when the team's not playing well and you're not scoring goals, people point a finger at you saying, "Oh, well, he stopped scoring." Well, I've stopped scoring because the rest of the team's not playing well, and I'm not getting opportunities. So I totally agree with Stephen Naismith there. When the team's playing well, you're on the front foot, you're creating chances, you're scoring goals. Inevitably, I think the striker's getting amongst the goals. But if you're struggling and you're not scoring goals, you're losing, and you're on the run that Hearts are on, then you're not getting a lot of chances per game. And the Hibs game's a perfect example. I don't recall last week Lawrence Shankland having a single chance or effort at goal. This week, obviously the team plays really, really well. He scores a hat-trick. So I think you can't just point the finger at one player. Shankland's another one. Shankland scores 30 goals this season for Hearts. He's got to be in the mix. But again, I would think it would be harder for a guy at Motherwell to score 30 than it would be for a guy at Hearts.
Yeah, I think when Celtic are bashing on that door, I think Liam Kelly is the last line of defence for Motherwell. He's keeping them out by all accounts. Richard says, I prefer watching Ange Postecoglou's team, but player for player, Martin O'Neill's team was the best by far. Maybe, he said, only changed Jota for a Gat.
No, as you know, I played with Didier at Hibs and playing against Celtic. Didier was one of the most underrated players I've ever played with. I mean, as a striker, I thought he was great, but as a right wing back, he was unbelievable. What a player he was. So, well, not only that, Tom, he's the only guy I know that actually, in a game against Stuttgart, gave the German defender 10 yards, and he just blasted past him. He was unbelievable. No, incredible. I think, and by the way, Martin O'Neill's team and Ange Postecoglou's team, chalk and cheese in terms of physicality, size, style of play, aggressive noise-ups. 4 or 5 of them, you could go out for a pint with them and start a fight with them. The 2003 team?
Absolutely. Yep.
I hate playing against them. Neil Lennon, Alan Thompson and Chris Sutton. There's 3 that I hated playing against because
and
they
Bobo.
were always Bobo Baldi, who I'm terrified, as you know.
Yeah.
But they 3, they loved the verbals in the part and all. They loved to noise you up, and particularly when they're pumping you. But as I said, we beat Celtic in the League Cup quarter-final. Kevin Thompson scored the last-minute goal, bottom corner. We went back to Celtic Park because we celebrated as if we'd won the league. Well, why would we know? With all young boys playing against us stars. It was the first game that Celtic lost that season under Martin O'Neill, was that night at Easter Road, and we played Celtic about 2 or 3 weeks later at Parkhead, and we knew they were going to wait for it. They were waiting for us. And I think we were 2-0 down at half time, and Derek Radden had been sent off. And Bobby Wilmson was the manager at half time. He says, "Listen, boys, game's done. Take your time, your throw-ins, by kicks, all that." And they beat us 6-0 that day, and they were knocking the ball about all lane, and I was off at that point. I was dragged, and Scott Brown was playing that day, and I'll never forget Scott Brown rattling into Lennon, rattling into Petrov, still only a young boy, 18, 19, 5-6 down, still trying like a bear. And I think that was probably one of the times where he thought he'll go and play with a bigger club. Yeah, it's interesting actually. Even if you're losing that, you need that attitude. I can tell you, Dundee United now, Stephen Fletcher 2-0 against Livingston. Yeah, I think Stephen Fletcher is another boy I played with, come through at Hibs. Yeah. Really, really talented player, always has been a good striker. Very surprised in the summer, as I spoke about in this show, that Hibs didn't take him. I think he's proven this season that he's still got a lot to offer at Premiership level. He's a top striker, good professional, and it's a guy like him who'll maybe score 9 or 10 goals this season for them that will keep them up. And it looks as if, St Mirren might, even by the skin of their teeth, even with a loss today, get in that top 6, which would be, for Stephen Robinson, I'm a huge fan, it would be great for him. It would be great. Listen, as I said, there's a packed house today at St Mirren Park. My brother-in-law and my brother-in-law's brother are away at the game, big St Mirren fans. They'll be sick at the performance today and the result, but they'll be delighted tonight when they hear they're in the top 6, barring a miracle from Livingston, let's be honest. And I think it's a lesson that you can't pick your relations. Your family's your family, but you can't pick your relations. Your family is. My brother-in-law's a season ticket holder at Ibrox. Big Colin, he's a season ticket holder, and so is my nephew. And my other brother-in-law's a St Mirren fan, massive St Mirren fan. So there you go.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you to so many of you for hitting the subscribe button. Of course, there's lots of great content, and I think you can just indulge in so many of the different features that we have on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. And of course, if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you get all the breaking football stories to read as well. So there's lots to enjoy on our programme, the football show Monday to Friday, and of course the content that we've got across our social media. Managers, players, you're getting interviews all the time, and of course you've got the immediate reaction there on a Saturday afternoon from Tynecastle. We'll have managers and players at the end of the games here today, and we'll have our reporters obviously giving you their assessment of the 90 minutes. A dramatic day that looks as if St Mirren by the skin of their teeth might get into that top six. Livingston will just miss out once again for the second year in a row, and that will be painful for David Martindale. And I think from our point of view and all the content that we're doing across our channel, one-to-one with Alex McLeish in the 40th anniversary of Gothenburg, John McMaster talking about the great days under Fergie, of course David Martindale, my story, a great, not only a day but a week looking at the Livingston manager. The access we got was absolutely superb, and there's been a lot of great features that we've put together, Tom.
No, there has been, and as I said, there's lots of stuff on the YouTube channel to go and browse over if you're looking for something to watch football related. And as I said, you've got some big guests coming up as well shortly, so no, it's always worth tuning into the YouTube channel and see what content's on there, new content.
And some of the stats that we're reading in the background, Tam, 48% of the people like watching the show on YouTube on the big screen. It's a strange situation. I wonder if that's
my mum and dad watch it every day. They watch it on the big screen.
Is there an age? I mean, do you think it's maybe an age-related thing, because some people like watching them on the phone?
Yeah, I think if you're older, you'd watch it on the telly rather than watching your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I think if you're watching it on your phone, it will look a lot better. If you're watching your telly, you know, it should come with the old red triangle you used to get in Channel 4 with a warning at the start of it. No, absolutely. Anyway, lots of people looking at the results and the implications of it elsewhere. In the Scottish Championship, it's Arbroath 0, Cove Rangers 1. Hamilton Accies are 2-1 up in Partick Thistle, by the way. And it's Inverness 1, Dundee 1, and Morton 1, Raith Rovers 0. And Partick Thistle have just equalised 2-2. Stephen Lawless.
Yeah, that's a bit. I tell you what, that'd be a massive result for Cove Rangers away to Arbroath. I can't remember the last time Cove Rangers won a game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It seems as if it's been a long time.
It's taken them a wee while to get it right.
If they win and Hamilton draw, I think Hamilton go to the bottom, and with a couple of games left, could be Hamilton departing the Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the League One is concerned, Dunfermline are already champions. Airdrieonians 1, Dunfermline 1, Alloa 1, Falkirk 4, Edinburgh 2, Kelty Hearts 2, Peterhead 1, Clyde 0, and Queen of the South 2, Montrose 3. And in League 2, it's Albion Rovers 3, Stenhousemuir 1, Dumbarton 1, East Fife 0, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Stirling Albion 2, Annan Athletic 1, and Stranraer 3, Elgin City 1. But the big scoreline at the moment is at Celtic Park, where it's 1-1, Motherwell battling away, proving that Stuart Kettlewell has got really, since he came in, he really has worked hard at getting them better organised. Of course, Van Veen scoring always helps.
Yeah, listen, I think that I think Celtic have missed a lot of chances in the second half, but in terms of Motherwell, that would be a fantastic point. Not got a lot to play for Motherwell, let's be honest. They're not going to get in the top six, and they're not going to get relegated, so they can go there and relax and play. But the form Celtic have been in, when was the last time they dropped a point at home? Must be a long time, in terms of the form at Parkhead. So no, I think that would be a massive result.
Yeah. I have to tell you, we'll be heading to all the grounds to get the full-time reports. Adam Binney is at Celtic Park, and Adam will be on his travels up to Pittodrie tomorrow. Across our social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, and of course on YouTube, you can follow Adam giving us his report from that match between Aberdeen and Rangers. We'll hear from Michael Beale and Todd Cantwell a little later on in the show. Well worth staying with us to get the reaction from all the other matches as well, because in the twists and turns of the Scottish Premiership, it looks as if St Mirren will indeed be in that top six. Livingston denied once more. Motherwell, who would have bet them getting a point at Celtic Park? They're getting mightily close to it. Could be a fair bit of injury time in that as well, which I think some people who don't support Celtic will be sighing, thinking it's coming, because they're battering on that Motherwell door.
Yeah, they are, and when you're at Parkhead, I've been there before. Remember losing 3-2 there, and I think they scored about the 99th minute or something. you're just thinking to yourself, the whistle's never going to blow, because you know that if Celtic are drawn, they're going to throw everything at it, and they will do that at the end. This game we'll find out how much time's added on. But
7 minutes injury time, or in brackets until Celtic score. I can hear a few of my Rangers mates giving it until Celtic score.
The same, you go to Parkhead and Celtic, it seems to be that there's always millions of time added on. Listen, I think in terms of going forward, Celtic will probably create 1 or 2 big chances in that 7 minutes and to try and win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you look down the leagues at all the teams that are trying to be champions, I think, Stirling Albion, it's been absolutely fantastic for them. There's no catching them now.
No, they've won it, Peter.
Champions.
They're champions, and Stirling Albion, I remember when I was at Dunfermline not that long ago, they were in the Championship. So they've been up as high as that in recent years. Sadly for them and the Stirling Albion fans, they've dropped down into the bottom league, but delighted for Darren Young. Darren Young's already won that league with Albion Rovers. He's still a young manager. He's somebody that could maybe step up, from Stirling Albion, maybe get a full-time position. He's done well with part-time clubs, but that's brilliant for Stirling Albion to go and win that league, because they weren't favourites for that at all.
Yep, absolutely. We'll look ahead also. We'll give you the answer to our quiz question, which we posed at the start of the programme, with Jose Mourinho, who's absolutely ripping it up there at Roma as the manager. They love him there. He's already won the Europa Conference League last season. Could he win the Europa League with Roma this season? They've got Bayer Leverkusen on the horizon, and of course he's got them to 4th in Serie A as well, and I think they absolutely love what the special one is doing there. I think a lot of people maybe thought he'd lost his sparkle, but you got to hand it to him. And the question we posed at the start was, how many trophies, not including Charity Shields, but how many trophies has Jose Mourinho won as a manager, domestically and in Europe? I've counted them together. You reckon, was it 30?
30, I said.
Yep, so we'll give you the answer to that at the end. We'll also hear from our reporters and the managers and players at the end of a very interesting day. I can tell you it's full time at Dundee United. Dundee United 2, Livingston 0. What do you make of that, Sam?
Great result for Dundee United, 3 wins in the bounce for Jim Goodwin. I think a few eyebrows were raised when Jim went in there after such a poor spell at Aberdeen, but I think he's done really well at Dundee United. We were in the studio that day when they went 5 points adrift at the bottom. They were playing Hibs the next day, and we both of us thought they're going down. We couldn't really see them picking up. That was a big gap, 5 points, and all of a sudden there's 9 points at the next 9, and they're pulling themselves slowly but surely away. But I always thought that Dundee United had the quality. You look at Jamie McGrath, he's an Ireland international. You've got Stephen Fletcher, Charlie Mulgrew, Levitt, the boy Harks, Levitt, Sibbald. They've got good players, and they should have, because they're paying good money.
And can I tell you, it's St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. What do you make of that?
Well, what I make of that is, Peter, Kilmarnock have picked up 2 points away from home all season, and they have got more than that in one game. So I think if you were taking Kilmarnock in the Coop in the day, I think you must have been having a wee phone call with Mystic Mega last night. She was telling you to back them, because no one in their right mind would beat and I think St Mirren's only lost 1 or 2 games at home all season.
Yeah, 2.
Kilmarnock shocking away from home. So, and the old Coop and Busters, that's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I think from Jim Goodwin's point of view, he'll be looking there and saying to himself, wow, I thought I'd done enough to suddenly get something there, and now they're on 31 points, the two of them together, and St Johnstone are not out of it as well. They're on 33.
How many points have Ross County got?
Ross County at this moment are on 27.
So it's what, 5?
They're bottom.
By 5 points?
By 4 points.
By 4 points?
Yeah.
That's going to be a big ask for them, Peter.
It is,
because you're playing against all the other teams. So,
but they've still got a chance.
They have still got a chance, Peter. But that could be a real demoralising one for you getting beat 6-1.
But I think if you've got 5 games left, depending on how it splits and how many home games
you're going
you've
to have
got,
to win 3 games.
Well, not necessarily, Tam. The way they're all cutting each other's throat. The only thing I would say that Malky will be saying to them is, remember, playoff place is good enough, because I don't think the teams, the championship.
The game last night, Peter. I watched Partick Thistle, Queen's Park United last night, and both of them will be in the playoffs, I think.
You think they're better than Ross County?
No way will either of those teams, or Morton or Inverness, beat a Ross County.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying to you.
I totally
so
agree with you.
all he says is get to the playoff. That'll be his mission right now.
It certainly is now. When they're at the bottom, I think they would take it now. They bite their hand off.
Absolutely.
But I don't see the Championship team causing them problems.
I know there's a few surprise results, but I think Motherwell's draw at Celtic Park, if we're only seconds away from the full-time whistle, I think they deserve tremendous credit.
That'd be an unbelievable result. Peter, Celtic are battling everybody, particularly at home. You know, I was at the game against Hibs 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I know Hibs got a man sent off, but Celtic, it's just waves and waves of attack. But you know, fair play to Motherwell. You know, to go 1-0 down, you know, in the first half, you think, well, this could be another 3 or 4. I don't think it's complacency from Celtic, but I definitely think that they'll get one eye next week.
Yeah, and next week is so crucial to everyone.
It might be a good little kick up the backside before that game. You know, knowing that you've picked up a poor result, you need to go and be at your best next week against Rangers, rather than getting into that thinking, we're invincible and nobody can touch us. I think that might be a wake-up call at the right time.
Yep, well, we're going to hear from Ange Postecoglou, and also we'll hear from, I think, a delighted Stuart Kettlewell if they hold on for that point. I think we're only seconds away from confirming that. Michael says Peter Hart should have scored at least 8 today. Right, you think? 8? I think they should have scored 10. They had so many great chances. I thought Hearts were more positive today. They were at it, they were in their face. Some of their nice link-up play as well. And as Stevie Naismith, interestingly pointed out, you're in a situation where the players are suddenly not looking to this passing the ball back to the goalkeeper nonsense. I think we need more players who are going to be brave, Tam, and look for that forward pass. It's easy to be a player playing, side passes here and there and everywhere.
Particularly at Tynecastle and places like Tynecastle and Easter Road, the fans want to see you getting forward. They want to see you putting other team under pressure, crosses in the box, shots, getting tackles up and pressing for the front. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see you passing the ball back side to side or across the back four. So, no, I think that was a fantastic result for Hearts, and with Aberdeen get a tough game against Rangers tomorrow. It puts them right back in it. 2 points, I think, behind Aberdeen, and doing their goal difference a lot of good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Dundee United have defeated Livingston, St Johnstone and Hibs. It's a 1-1, Tam, there at McDermott Park.
Yeah, listen, Hibs are there, they're in it, and that's the most important thing for everybody.
Lee Johnson says, Tam McManus.
I need to delete the draft that I drafted up on Twitter saying get him out, and delete that if they're 1-0 down. But no, listen, they got in the top 6 and they're still in the mix. They picked up a point, they get a point closer to Aberdeen, who, as I said, if Rangers beat Aberdeen tomorrow, then they're all back in it. But congratulations to Hibs, but they should be in the top 6. And for St Johnstone, it stops the rot. Get a point in the board. I think that's the same 6 points clear of bottom, so they should be just about safe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting afternoon in the Scottish Premiership. Congratulations to Stirling Albion, champions, of course, Dunfermline champions in League One, and I think the confirmation will come in the next couple of weeks about who's going to win the championship. I think we're just waiting for Celtic to eventually confirm they are again back-to-back champions shortly. And as
how does that affect Celtic winning the league? It was supposed to be the weekend of the...
Well, again, we need to wait to see what Aberdeen and Rangers does tomorrow, but it could be May 6th when suddenly...
There were a lot of people with that circled, didn't they?
Yeah, they did have it circled out for the King's coronation as well, and Celtic...
Carfin and the Garngad and places like that.
Yeah, all the mad equations that can come from it. Only in Scotland, Tam, only in Scotland can you get a particular noise up like that, but nevertheless, I think Celtic just basically haven't been able to, get behind Motherwell to get that all-important winning goal in that game.
No, it looks as if it's going to finish one each, and as I said, Motherwell have got to take great credit. And not a lot of people would have given them a hope and health today of going in and getting a result. I was with Tam Cowan earlier, and he was kind of feeling the worst because we're talking about Celtic maybe taking 10 off of somebody this week, but he said a lot of Motherwell fans weren't even going to the game because they didn't hold out much hope of them getting the result. So there you go, you never know, and they look as if they're going to pick up a tremendous point.
Yeah, at Celtic Park to get a 1-1 on the basis of the way Ange Postecoglou's side have played this season. So Stuart Kettlewell deserves tremendous credit. It's finished 1-1, and I think Stuart Kettlewell and his boys have played really well, and I think Kevin Van Veen has been absolutely magnificent this season. At times when he first signed, I thought he was
not moody and lazy at times.
Not as mobile as I thought he should have been as a striker, but by the way, in that box, when he gets a chance he scores, and he's been brilliant for them. So well done to Motherwell. Absolutely fantastic result there at Celtic Park for them. There are so many highs this weekend for managers who are thinking to themselves, Well, we've had a tough time. Stevie Naismith is interim boss suddenly off the back of an Edinburgh derby defeat 6-1 against, albeit Ross County. And again, Kilmarnock, what must Derek McInnes be feeling? We'll find out from the Killie boss after that 2-0 win against St Mirren, a sold out Smeetsa Stadium, and I think some of the Saints fans, that's when you want to put on a show, and they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's similar. When I was working with Hibs and Hibs TV, they reduced the prices once against St Johnstone at home to £5, and all the marketing people done a great job getting it out, social media, getting around the schools, £5 to get in, £5 to get in. I couldn't get in the car park, it was mobbed, and I'm just thinking to myself, go and score a few goals today and win, because these people will come back.
Yeah.
It was 0-0.
Yeah.
And it was the worst. I looked at doing it at full time whistle, went and looked down at the marketing boy, Greg McEwen, and he's just like that.
Yeah.
Because you put in all that much graft, and it's the same, when you're trying to promote things.
You want to put on a show.
Getting a full house. St Mirren don't often get full houses out with the Old Firm.
Yeah.
So they've ticketed it right. The fans are buzzing. They want to come and see it, and you get battered 2-0 at home. So listen, the only consolation is for them to get in the top 6. So I think they'll still be doing a wee lap of honour after the game.
Full-time reports on the way, and we'll also be getting the thoughts of Michael Beale and Todd Cantwell as Aberdeen and Rangers lock horns up at Pittodrie. It's a rejuvenated Aberdeen as well, and I think it's going to be a cracking match up there.
It is. I think particularly that Rangers are missing Golson and Kent, two of their best players. Aberdeen have been outstanding since Barry Robson's come in. He's given them a real lift. They look solid, they look hungry, they're working hard for each other. So listen, particularly with all the talk this week about the Shinnie red card and whatever, I think just to calm things down, I think Aberdeen playing Rangers at 4:30 on the Sunday will do that.
Yeah, as we move into the second hour of the programme here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, this is the Saturday Football Show. Tam McManus is with me, Peter Martin. Thank you very much for your company on an afternoon when Motherwell get a point at Celtic Park. It finished Celtic 1, Motherwell 1. The early kick-off was at Tynecastle, and it was a hat-trick from Lawrence Shanklin in a 6-1 win for Hearts against Ross County. Stevie Naismith complimenting the side on being on the front foot, passing forward, and Shanklin for his movement, and of course for the service that delivered those 3 goals for Hearts. So I think great credit there to Stevie Naismith. He'll enjoy his Saturday night. Elsewhere, Dundee United, with Stephen Fletcher getting the second late on for Dundee United to secure a 2-0 win over Livingston. You couldn't separate them, St Johnstone and Hibs. It was 1-1 it finished. And a surprise result maybe at the Smeetsa Stadium. It was St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. And that result for Kilmarnock draws them level with Dundee United. 4 points away from them at the bottom of the table is Ross County. But with all those results in the Scottish Premiership, congratulations to St Mirren. They are in the top 6 alongside Hibs. And when you look at that overall table, it has Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs and St Mirren. Maybe not the team that you would have chosen at the start of the season, but great credit to Stephen Robinson. His side have managed to get in that top 6, and financially that is a massive boost for the Paisley side.
Yeah, listen, I think that could be the difference between them maybe holding on to 2 or 3 of their better players, or going into the transfer market and having to buy players on reduced wages. Obviously they've got Tony Watt there, who's come in and loaned from Dundee United. He could be one that could maybe get a deal there. I don't think that St Mirren can pay the same money as on at Dundee United, but with that extra money they could maybe get close to it and keep him if they wanted to. And I think it's the first time since they've finished in the top 6 since the inception of it in 1998. So brilliant for St Mirren, and as I said, they're not that far. How many points are they off the third, Peter?
Well, I'm looking at them right now, and St Mirren are on 44, Aberdeen are on 50. I think
even 4th, maybe 5th could get European football.
Well, 4th could get European football, Tam, and they're not far away from Hearts, because Hearts are on 48.
Yeah, so listen, they've still got a wee chance, Hibs as well, but yeah, I think for St Mirren, I think that at the start of the season, particularly, I think they were poor. Did they not get knocked out of the League Cup early doors? And I think Stephen Robertson was under a wee bit of pressure, so I think cutting their cloth, cutting their budget and still getting in the top 6, I think is brilliant for Stephen Robertson.
Yeah, let's go to McDermott Park. Full time St Johnstone against Hibernian. Patrick Mullen has the details.
Full time here at McDermott Park, and it has finished. St Johnstone 1, Hibernian 1. It is 10 men Hibs who have survived a second half to progress into the top 6 after the split. St Johnstone took the lead here in just the 24th minute. That one came through Stephen May, an overhead kick into the bottom right hand corner to give St Johnstone the best possible start. Hibs did fight back though. Just 5 minutes later they had their equaliser. Lewis Stevenson's strike from outside the box found its way into the bottom right hand corner to give Hibs the leveller. It was level into the break, but just moments after that, a red card for Hibs. James Jego was shown a red card after a 50-50 with Conor McLennan. Both players went down injured, but he was still down when the referee sent him for an early bath. New manager Stephen McLean would knock 10 men forward and couldn't take advantage of the 10 men, which sees Hibs progress here. But at full time here at McDermott Park, it has finished. St Johnstone 1, Hibernian 1.
I think when we hear from Lee Johnson, he'll put a positive spin on it on the basis that they were down to 10 men and held on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think it was a couple of minutes after half time. We've not seen the tackle, but we can't comment on it. But straight red, it must have been a poor tackle. So that puts you right up against it. I think the Hibs with 11 men, probably in my opinion, we're going to win the game. But I think when they heard that Livingston were losing as well, they think to themselves, listen, just hold on to a point here. We get a point here, we should be good. And they've hung on there for the second half, and for St Johnstone, as I said, it stops the rot for them. It brings them, I think, 6 points clear of the bottom, and into the bottom six they go. But for Hibs, delighted in the top 6. You want to see Hibs playing Hearts, you want to see Hibs playing Old Firm, you want to see bigger clubs in the top 6, and that's what's happened.
And the great news for Sheffield United is they've still got 0 against Manchester City.
Is Haaland playing? I know they play Arsenal on Wednesday. Well, it looks as if he is. Yeah,
he's playing up front, and he'll be desperate to score goals. 0-0 in that FA Cup semi-final.
I don't know if you've seen the wee video that I sent. The guy kidnapped Haaland in the back of his car.
No, I never missed it.
Sheffield United fan. So he opened the boot of his car, and there was this dummy in the back, and it had a Haaland strip on. And he said to the missus, "Yeah, I've just picked him up and dropped him off after the game because he'll score about 9 against us." It was very funny. It's on social media somewhere. But if you're Erling Haaland, you're licking your lips playing against a Championship team today, because let's not forget they already thumped Burnley. The round before, was it 5 or 6? I think he scored 5, so he'd be looking for another hat-trick today.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, Tam, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to be two-faced about it. I do occasionally follow you on social media, but then I made this conscious decision to have a life and go out and live it, rather than just constantly read all your gibberish on social media. Plus, of course, I don't know how you've got the patience for people who just want to argue with you, which just does my head in, because usually when I go on social media, it's a full-scale riot, and I think, I don't need it. I'll just body swerve it. Anyway, that's the joys of that platform. We have a social media channel which gives you as much information as you possibly require on all the football issues in Scotland, and of course we've mentioned to you what the scores were in the Scottish Premiership, and we'll bring you our full-time reports from our reporters as well. I can tell you, at the Smeetsa Stadium in Paisley, a lot of St Mirren fans were going there hoping for a show. It didn't quite materialise, as Alison McConnell explained.
0, Kilmarnock 2. Kilmarnock with the party poopers here in Paisley as they claimed their first league away win of the season, and what a win it could prove to be. It's a victory that puts 4 points between themselves and bottom of the table Ross County, getting into the stressful post-split fixtures. Few would have anticipated that they would end their wretched away run against an informed St Mirren side who were looking to get that win to take them into the top 6. However, first half goals from Liam Donnelly and Christian Doidge gave them a very comfortable lead at St Mirren. Nervous and anxious throughout, never really threatened. The deal was sealed in the second period when Saints substitute Thierry Small was stupidly dismissed for a second booking. St Mirren sneak into the top 6 courtesy of Dundee United's win up at Tannadice. However, this was an anticlimactic way for them to achieve it. For Kilmarnock, however, this is a big win on the road that they've been waiting for all season. To get all the player and manager reaction to this one in Paisley, please stay tuned to BLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Alison will be heading to a rave. She's got her glow sticks, she's got her hat. I couldn't think of a better place to go to a rave than their music in there.
It's either St Mirren Park or Hamilton Accies. He plays his tunes, and it's always bits and pieces and Venga Boys and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Alison will get the thoughts of Stephen Robinson, who I think will be still positive about the fact that, okay, they lost the game, didn't quite put on a show for the fans, but I think the fans will look at the overall contribution of St Mirren, their form. Remember, the only team to beat Celtic in the league.
Yeah, they are, and I think that's why it was such a shock result today. I think that St Mirren this season before today had lost 2 games, and that's a very, very strong home record. So, and as you said, they beat a Celtic team as well. So, brilliant for Kilmarnock. That's got to give them massive confidence. I think, you know, when you're on such a bad run away from home, you go into every away game, you're thinking, oh, if we got a goal down here, we're beat, we can't come back. So for them to not only get the first goal, but go and win the game, and I think Kilmarnock brought about, you know, 1,500 fans up and filled that away stand at Kilmarnock as well. So that's got to give them a massive boost, because if Kilmarnock can pick up wins like that in the bottom 6 split, they'll be fine, because their home record's excellent.
Yeah, in the Championship today, it was Arbroath 0, Cove Rangers 1, Hamilton Accies 2, Partick Thistle 2, Inverness Cally Thistle 1, Dundee 1, and Greenock Morton 1, Wraith Rovers 0. And that, at the bottom end, has Accies and Cove Rangers in those 2 bottom places on 30 points, Tam.
Yep, and I think for Dick Campbell and Arbroath, that was the game today that they could have had the flip-flops out, you know, safe. They're not safe now, they're only 3 points ahead of both clubs. I think Cove Rangers go to Dundee away next, which you don't see them getting anything out of. I don't know who Hamilton have got, but you know, that's very, very tight at both ends of that. That's a great league. That's the best league in Scotland. That's the best league in Scotland in terms of drama and things to play for, because if you look at the top 4 or 5 clubs as well, you know, nobody knows who's going to win the title yet, you know, and who's getting relegated and who's in the playoffs. Morton won today. You know, there's Morton there, United, Inverness, Partick and Queen's Park all going for the playoffs, and you've got the bottom 3 at the bottom. So it's a brilliant league, that Scottish Championship. Yeah, really cutthroat. Thanks very much to Jeff Harrison, who says, my God, that woman, he's talking about Alison, that woman has some lungs. I love her to bits though. Thanks for that, Jeff, because she's a brilliant reporter, and I'm so glad we've got her as part of the team at PLZ Soccer. She usually has to shout, Alison, at reports. She gets excited, and she obviously is in places where... Thankfully we had a word with her after a couple of weeks ago where she was shouting down at Kilmarnock. Oh, it was an exciting game, for God's sake. She really blew her eardrums off in here. Yeah, I only hire people who actually look as if they're going to spontaneously combust. I like Patrick. I like people who get excited at games. Patrick's the only guy I know who can get excited at a 0-0 with no chances. What about elsewhere today? Up at Tannadice, Claire Kinnear was watching this game.
It's finished here at Tannadice, Dundee United 2, Livingston 0. The first goal came after 17 minutes. Harks took the ball up the pitch, sent it out to Jamie McGrath, who then shot it low into the corner past George. And the second was a superb Fletcher strike. Kai Fotheringham worked hard, won the ball off of the Livingston defence, sent it out to Fletcher, who runs towards the box, striking it past George, not even giving him a second to think. Dundee United 2, Livingston 0. Livingston had some chances. Bradley shot the ball wide. Shinnie shot the ball right into Birigiti's arms at one point as well. Livingston's battle for top 6 is now over. But for United, that's 3 wins in 3 games, with hopes of avoiding relegation. Dundee United 2, Livingston 0.
Set it up.
Yeah, do you like that song?
That's my favourite song of all time.
What, Deacon Blue?
Dignity. That's my favourite song of all time.
What, the number 1 song?
Number 1 of all time, Dignity. What a tune.
Yeah,
love it.
That's an interesting one, by the way.
Claire, I'm sure it was a fantastic interview there, but I was just...
I mean, I like Ricky Ross. He's a fantastic guy. I've been in his company on more than a few occasions.
Have you concerts, Deacon Blue?
Yeah, I have been to more than a few Deacon Blue concerts, and I actually was at a private concert. It was like only a certain amount of private guests that were at it, and they were absolutely brilliant. It was at a hotel. It was just a specially invited guest, and he was absolutely superb. But I have to tell you even more than that, though. You know, it's all about favourite songs. Deacon Blue, Dignity. What's the favourite?
Get on the feed, let's see who their favourite song is.
Favourite song of all time?
Yep.
What's your favourite song of all time? Fire it out there, what you would love to hear it at a football ground. When you hear it, makes you happy. By the way, Claire's report was absolutely fantastic. While he's listening to Deacon Blue, I don't think we'll get the same Deacon Blue at Celtic Park, where Adam Binney watched. Yeah, well, Adam Binney watched Celtic drop 2 points, and Motherwell gain a valuable one.
Full time here at Celtic Park. It has finished Celtic 1, Motherwell 1, as the Steelmen become the first side to come to Celtic Park and get a point this season, breaking that 100% record at home for Ange Postecoglou's side. They've gone 17 matches winning in a row, and that's finally broken today by Stuart Kettlewell's magnificent Motherwell team. Callum McGregor got the opening goal for Celtic in the 24th minute. That was in the first half. Took the ball around 25 yards from goal on his left foot, hit it goalwards, but it came off the boot of Dan Casey. It looked as though it came off his toe, and went into the bottom left hand corner. In the second half, Motherwell got their equaliser. It's the main man, Kevin Van Veen, a 20th league goal of the season for him, twisting Greg Taylor inside and out after getting on the end of a Blair Spittle pass, and there it was, just to slot it beyond Joe Hart to give his side the equaliser. Celtic not at their best today, but all the credit has to go to Stuart Kettlewell in the way his side played this afternoon. Great match here at Celtic Park, because it's finished. Celtic 1, Motherwell 1.
Yeah, and rightly so. Motherwell will get the credit, because as Adam pointed out there, first team to go to Celtic Park and get a point.
Yeah, listen, it's an incredibly tough place to go and get a result. I think that showed me Celtic's home record under Ange Postecoglou this season. So for Motherwell to go there and get a point is an absolutely tremendous result. And obviously they've rode their luck at times. Their goalkeepers had an excellent game, but you need that at Celtic Park. You need to go. Everything needs to fall in place. You need Celtic to have an off day, which they have, and you need your goalkeeper and your back four to play out their skin, and that's what's happened as well. You need a striker in form to maybe nick one at the other end. So absolutely tremendous result, and as I said, that might be a wee wake-up call for Celtic at the right time, going into that game next week. You can't win every game. You've got to play well. Not just Celtic, but every team's got to play well to win. And I think that's shown today that Motherwell were worthy of a point. Yeah, thanks to so many people who are contributing to you putting out that stupid suggestion of what's your favourite music. Obviously Ronnie, who regularly contributes to the programme, is a Rangers fan, so he's gone for Simply the Best. No surprise there. But there are some other people. Nick Watson, Sunshine on Leith, for obvious reasons. That's my second best.
Yeah, and of course, Tommy, I think, makes a very valid point. Tommy says Tam hasn't heard that much music. He's probably been too busy training in America, where he played in the MLS, just in case you don't know. Mark Mackay says...
The USA is a good song.
That's a great song. If you ever get a chance...
Played in the USA is a good one.
Go and see Bruce Springsteen. Fantastic.
I'd like to go and see him.
3 3/4 hours, he never stops.
Just back from New York watching him.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, and the other one I was going to say is Mark Mackay says Jump from Van Halen. Now I don't think you'll know this one, Tam, but I'm going to mention it anyway, because Tommy has mentioned the Ruts, Babylon's Burning. Have you ever heard that song?
Is it good?
Well, it is sensational, and the reason why I say it's sensational is part of an era where I love punk music, and Tommy's right on the mark with it. It is a punk song.
You're punk?
It's 100 melodies. No, I was a kind of a new wave, but I loved a lot of punk music, and of course dance music that was playing in there for you just to keep you going.
Well, I don't know what you had on in there, but Blair and Sean were about to slit their wrists in there with the music you were playing. It was horrific.
Yeah, well,
the Anne rhymes and all that.
I try and keep it calm on a Saturday afternoon, because we know Alison's coming on with her match report. So we've got to try and keep it calm. And Martin Weir, who's an absolutely quality man who knows his music, has just quite simply put Hotel California. It doesn't get any better than that. Absolutely fantastic. I think somebody told me that when the Eagles were appeared at Hampden, they came in 4 separate cars, because they can't stand each other.
Was that right?
Yeah, they were really at loggerheads with each other.
I'm not really a big. I know the songs. I don't really know the band.
Yeah, the band is magnificent, but I think they had so many fallouts that when Don Henley was asked, will the Eagles ever get back together, he said, when hell freezes over. And then eventually somebody coaxed them back with a barrel load of cash, and they did the When Hell Freezes Over tour. That's the best way to do it. Listen,
Oasis, isn't it? Do you think they'll ever get back?
Yes,
Oasis?
absolutely.
You think so?
Oh, it's a Stonewall certainty. Believe me, the two brothers will bury the hatchet and get back together. It's an absolute certainty. Although the talented one of them is Noel. Liam is just... He's just mental. He's not a moron, he's just mental. Noel plays better music. Anyway, let me tell you that 6-1 to Hearts today. Brilliant result for Stephen Naismith. He was our pundit in here for 2 years, Tam. Were you on when Stevie was here?
I wasn't on, but obviously I met him at the photo shoot and different things, but brilliant for him. Listen, I think he took a bit of criticism last week, because 1, getting rid of Snodgrass was a big call, 2, losing the Derby game, and 3, saying that third place wasn't the be-all and end-all when it clearly is. So I think he's put that to bed today, and shown that Hearts are still in the mix for third.
Yeah, absolutely. Delighted for Stephen, and Hearts get the points. delighted for Stuart Kettlewell to go to Celtic Park and get a point is no mean feat. Brilliant for Motherwell. Celtic slip up there, drop 2 points, but still clear at the top of the table, and 13 points clear, and Rangers have it all to do up at Pittodrie against Aberdeen tomorrow. We'll hear from Michael Beale shortly. Dundee United got a 2-0 win against Livingston. It was St Johnstone 1, Hibs 1 and St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2, but well done to Stephen Robinson. They secure the top 6 finish there, and St Mirren could be pushing, thinking to themselves, maybe the next goal is European football in the 5 games that remain after the split. And let's not forget, it's the Scottish Cup semi-final as well. That's next week between Falkirk and Inverness and Celtic and Rangers. Listen, down in the Championship, it was Arbroath 0, Cove Rangers 1. It was Inverness 1, Dundee 1, Greenock Morton 1, Wraith Rovers 0, and Hamilton Accies 2, Partick Thistle 2. Let's get the thoughts of Chris Dillon, the Jags manager, on a point at Hamilton Accies.
Yeah, it was chaotic at the end, wasn't it? Last wee bit of the game was just chaos. But you know, it's one of those games where it'll end up like that. Because there's so much riding on every game. I think you'll see a lot of games in the Championship end up in a similar way just because of that. But delighted we got the equaliser, and downhearted in the side that we didn't get the winner. But we created enough chances to win 3 games. We should have probably walked away with the 3 points. But you know, relieved that we pick up the last minute winner, equaliser, and that keeps us fighting in there as well.
Yeah, it certainly does, because they're a point ahead of Ayr United. You watched that game last night between Ayr and Queen's Park. Dire was the only way you summed it up.
Yeah, it was a poor game. I think that at this stage of the season there's a lot of pressure on. I think for Queen's Park going for the league title, for Ayr United just outside the playoffs, it was never going to be a classic, but it was a poor game. I think that was obviously a better game today. 4 goals at least for the fans who travelled along to it, but some big games coming up. As I said, Queen's Park played Dundee in the last game of the season, and that could still be a decider. And there's a lot to play for. As I said, it's a very, very tight league, very exciting league, and you know, Hamilton Accies scrapping for their lives. It was never going to be an easy game for Thistle.
Yeah, thanks to David Russell, who said, I saw Ario Speedwagon exiting the old Atlanta Braves Stadium back in 2012. There comes a time when you just have to give it up, but he still saw them. Ario Speedwagon, the Doobie Brothers, listen to the music. I think we've got a certain kind of audience that listen. The Doobie Brothers?
No.
What?
The Doobie Brothers?
It does sound like, it sounds a bit like Cheech and Chong, but no, the Doobie Brothers. You haven't heard of them? Give us a break, by the way. That's unbelievable. This man has got no taste in music whatsoever.
Venga Boys for me.
That kind of sums up exactly that your musical taste could be fitted on a nano iPod. Let me tell you that this afternoon, as well as Celtic drawing against Motherwell, elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, St Johnstone 1, Hibs 1. We'll hear from Stephen McLean, the interim boss there at St Johnstone, and Lee Johnson as well. And we'll hear from Stephen Robinson and Derek McInnes. McInnes obviously delighted that his Kelly side have got the points. We'll also hear up there at Tannadice, Dundee United. A word for Jim Goodwin, Tam, because that's 3 wins consecutively.
Yeah, it's a fantastic run of form at the right time, Peter. I think that, as I said earlier, they looked as if they were down. I think when it was a 5-point gap, you know, they had some tough fixtures coming up, and you're thinking to yourself, I remember you putting the fixtures up and thinking how many points they're going to take from that. And I didn't see them taking many from Hibs at home and Motherwell away at that time. So to get 9 points gives them a bit of breathing space, but it's still not finished yet. You know, until it's mathematically impossible for you to finish in the bottom 2, you keep pushing. But I think Dundee United have always had the quality in that squad. Listen, we've seen it at the start of the season, Peter. They beat AZ Alkmaar at home, who are up there for a long time in the Dutch League trying to win the title, and they're still there in the semi-final. So they've got it in the locker to be a decent football team, but they just, for whatever reason, under Jack Ross and then Liam Fox, it just wasn't happening. But Jim Goodwin's getting a tune out of them.
Still something to be decided at the bottom end, because Dundee United and Kilmarnock are level on 31 points, and then at 27 points it is Ross County at the bottom of the table. At the top, it's only a matter of waiting to see when the title is eventually clinched by Celtic. There's no debate between second and third, because Rangers will finish second, 29 points behind them in third place are Aberdeen, and Aberdeen take on Rangers tomorrow at Pittodrie. Our man Adam Binney will be up there. Michael Beale certainly wants to finish the season on a high, and certainly wants to get a good positive result up at Pittodrie before that Scottish Cup semi-final next Sunday against Celtic. And this is what he makes of a dangerous Aberdeen.
No, of course. The first game is this one this weekend, and it's a very dangerous game for us because Aberdeen are in a good place and we're going up there, and they've played us twice since I come back in. It's the third game against them. It'll be the 23rd game, and I've played them 3 times. The games have been very, very close, so they'll be buoyant, and we're going up there. So my first focus is that, and then from the moment the game ends, I'll look to next week. It's a dangerous thing looking ahead too far, but of course we know it's in the background. It's impossible to be sat here with all you guys and not know.
I like the game because sometimes you get a real bit of needle. You get a good, exciting game between the two of them. I think because Aberdeen are starting to look good and responding under Barry Robson and what Michael Beale's doing there, albeit Michael Beale hasn't managed to get one over on Celtic yet, but I think from the squad he inherited, he deserves tremendous credit. So hopefully we'll get it for all the positive things on the part, rather than what I think the media, and I include myself in this term, sometimes we build it up for all the negativity around Aberdeen against Rangers.
Yeah, listen, it's one of our biggest fixtures. You know, in terms of outside Celtic Rangers, Aberdeen Rangers is a huge fixture. There's no love lost between the teams, going back to the Ian Durrant tackle, going to different things. There's different things have happened just to keep that going. Ryan Jack going through on Stevie May, and Aberdeen losing the league title at Ibrox. So there's always been a lot of furore about this fixture, and I think with Aberdeen, you're not going to see a Jim Goodwin type thing where they sat back against particularly Celtic when they sat and parked the bus. I think you're going to see an Aberdeen team flying out the traps and going after Rangers and trying to get at them and putting them under pressure, because Barry Robson spoke after the Ross County game last week. I watched it on Sky, and he was of the same ilk as Stephen Naismith, as in, we want to get after teams, we want to put teams under pressure, get crosses in the box, shots at goal, go forward, don't pass sideways. And I think you're going to see that in particular this week.
Yep. Well, I hope we get a positive game with good football. Certainly, I think some players who come from different shores to join Celtic and Rangers and realise there's a bit of needle in games, and sometimes people bill it as hatred from one set of fans to the other. We don't certainly like to bill it that way, but there is a bit of needle between the two sides, and Todd Cantwell is more than aware of that.
To be honest, I think most games, I think as Rangers, as a player, you have to go into the mentality of like no one really wants to play you, and when they do, it's some sort of a rivalry. For me, honestly, it's a compliment to where you are. If every team sees you as a rival, they don't really want to play you. That's the way I'd look at it. Listen, I don't believe in hatred in football. I think it's silly. Rivalries are healthy because it means that there's competition, which means people want to win games. So there's no hatred there. I think it's just another game where we can go and enjoy and try and turn the form that we want on.
Yeah, well done to Todd Cantwell for mentioning that, because let's go up there, play the game, let's hope we get a good one, and if you want to keep up to date with it, of course, full-time reaction will come from Michael Beale and Barry Robson. It should be a good game.
It's a strange time to have it, 4:30 on a Sunday.
Yeah, it is.
I think you'll find a lot of Aberdeen fans going there well oiled up from the drinking during the day, and you've got the Rangers fans travelling up in the buses. I just hope everything passes without any nonsense off the park, because I think it's a dangerous time to have a game.
Yeah, well, knowing a few of my Aberdeen mates as I do, can you get well oiled up in 6 straws and a 1 pint of beer, Tam? Can you?
Tighter than a dead heat.
I know. A couple of my mates will cane me for that. But hey, stereotyping. Catherine Kelly was talking about. We were talking. Man City have just taken the lead. They're 1-0 up from the penalty spot. So the ball hits the back of the net. Was it a penalty?
Yeah, we were just watching it. There's a Stonewaller. Mahrez tucked it away, and I was wondering if Haaland was going to take it after missing, ballooning it over the bar, but Mahrez takes it and puts it away. And the treble is very much still on for Man City.
Yeah, last team to do the treble?
Man United.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
Under Fergie.
Yeah, fantastic. 1999, unbelievable. They won the treble.
Liverpool did the treble as well, but it was a different treble.
It was a League Cup.
League Cup, FA Cup, UEFA Cup.
Yes.
Did they treble?
well, to be fair, it was a right good side. It was shut it. Gary McAllister.
Alaves in the final.
5-4. Gary McAllister. Good boy, brilliant Gary, love him. And thanks to Catherine Kelly, who says you're talking about music. Sorry guys, I love Robert and May Miller. Now, if you're from Scotland, do you know them?
No.
No.
Are they Scottish?
Yeah, the two of them are fantastic. May has got a tongue that would cut you in two, but the two of them sing as a duo together, and they're fantastic. How can I put it? It's club music, working men's club music with a twist, because May's her patter is fantastic. And the last time I was in her company, Ruffy and I went with Katrina Harvey and Michelle Evans. We went to May plays in a fabulous gay bar in Glasgow, which is mobbed, and when they come on, it's brilliant. I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant. And Ruffy and I went there and get well tanked one day. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Did you have 2 pints, aye?
Yeah, I had 2 pints because I'm a two-gander. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. It's always good. Robert May Miller, what a great shout that was, Catherine. That brought a smile to my face, because you don't get that many places now. You used to be able to get into the town anywhere, and right across Scotland you could get in, you could hear good live acts. And
there's not many now, is there?
There's not many in some of the pubs. But listen, we love our football, we love our entertainment. Saturday afternoon, you want a bit of banter between us, a bit of chat as well. We're getting that as well. We're getting managers and players about to come on as well.
As I said, there's no other show doing this, sitting talking mostly about Scottish football, but keeping our eyes on the big English games as well, obviously. But no, listen, Scottish football is a great product. I know I said last week, as you know, that it's the weakest Premier League in a long time, but I think there's so much to be positive about in this in our country about football. There's so much competitiveness. I think you look at the Championship, for example. If you're a Partick Thistle fan, or an United fan, or a Dundee fan, or a Hamilton fan for the other reasons, it's everything to play for right to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some more reaction coming up very shortly on all the games that have finished in the Scottish Premiership. We'll keep you right up to date with what's happening right across the Scottish Premiership, with the managers' reactions to the games that have finished, and you can give us your thoughts as well. We'd love to hear from you. Before we get to the end of this programme, hopefully we'll be able to give you as many managers and players' reaction to the results. And if you are enjoying indeed this programme, then don't forget you can subscribe to PLZ Soccer, the YouTube channel. Hit the button on the bell as well, and you'll get all the notifications of our live content. What about Ange Postecoglou? What do you think he made of 2 points dropped today? Here he is.
Yeah, look, obviously disappointing outcome, and the performance not really at the levels we've shown before. We control the game for the most part pretty well. First half was fine. We scored our goal. We had some chances to get a second, which we didn't take advantage. But at the same time, I thought we were in control. We kind of knew the game would open up, but then we conceded a really poor goal from our perspective, which gives the opposition some encouragement. And then I think we lost our composure a little bit. Just got a bit desperate at times. And having said that, we had some good chances to score the goal. We didn't take them.
Fairly philosophical there. Lost their composure in front of goal.
Yeah, listen, I think that fans can be a little bit spoiled at times, particularly Celtic fans this season. That's the first points they've dropped. So Celtic fans are going to look at that game today just sitting there expecting them to win. It's just another game. It should be another 3 points, and football doesn't work like that. You've got to play well. And Celtic, according to Ange, they were off the boil. Didn't make the right decisions at the right time, and Motherwell have came and played out their skin. So if you get the combination of that on any given day, you can see teams maybe nicking a result, and Motherwell have done that today. So Ange will be disappointed to lose that kind of 100% record at home. But as I said, it might just be a wee wake-up call going into the game next week against Rangers that we're not invincible. We need to turn up, we need to do the right things, we need to do the things we work on, and we need to play well to go and win games, and we'll need to play well to win against Rangers, because Rangers showed, I think, in long spells at Parkhead, that they on any given day that they can get a result against Celtic.
Yeah, there's lots of questions I want to ask you, Tam, which are going to be really interesting for everybody who's looking at the state of the table. Here's how the table looks. I don't know if you want to have a wee look on the screen. Here's how the table looks. At the bottom end, Ross County in 27. There's Dundee United and Kilmarnock on 31. So just on that, before I ask you about the top end of it, it's so tough to call, but do you think Ross County could be gone?
Peter, 10 days ago, whatever it was, 14 days ago, we thought Dundee United had gone, and they won 3 games in a row. I think they're obviously now favourites to get relegated. You're now going into a 5-game spell where I have been in that bottom 6, and every single game is massive. What you're looking for, really, to be honest, is to try and pick up the points against a Livingston and a Motherwell, because they are teams that are probably going to be safe and have a lot to play for. And I think when you go into those games, you think maybe they're a wee bit off it, maybe they're looking to the summer. But the other games, St Johnston, Dundee United, Kilmarnock, if you're at Ross County, you've got to try and win them. And I think the other teams will be targeting maybe Motherwell and Livingston as well. But it's all to play for. Those games become the old, as I said earlier, the old cliche 6-pointers. Ross County can't afford to lose to Kilmarnock, Dundee United.
And I know Neil Doncaster will say, well, the split kept everything alive, the playoffs keep it alive. That's why the 12-team league is so exciting and so competitive, and it works. When you look at the league table and you see 3rd and 4th in the battle, I wonder if tomorrow is such a huge game for Aberdeen. There's something to play for from them, because finishing 3rd is a substantial amount of money. Hearts now are only 2 points behind them from the catastrophe of a 15-point swing. Now Aberdeen have to do something against Rangers to make sure they maybe get a little bit of a distance between them and Hearts, but suddenly a game against Hearts in the last 5 games between Aberdeen and Hearts could mean the difference between 3rd and 4th.
Yep, and I think it does kind of look as if it's going to be between those two now, Aberdeen and Hearts. I think Hibs, if they'd have won today, would have maybe had a wee sniff of it as well, but I think if Aberdeen lose tomorrow, then Hearts have a great weekend. 6 goals, 3 points. They do their goal difference a whole lot of good as well, because as I said, that's so important at this stage of the season, is goal difference as well. That is worth an extra point. I think that maybe Hearts are 8 to 9 goals better off than Aberdeen at the minute. So if the two of them finish level,
well, they've got 7 as a goal difference plus at Hearts now.
Yeah, and obviously Rangers play Aberdeen tomorrow. So no, I think it's all to play for. In 3rd place, as you said, you get a big chunk of money off the SPFL, but I think you're just about guaranteed. I think somebody might tell us wrong. I think you're guaranteed that Conference League group stage.
Yes, you are.
You'll get a one-off tie against a Europa League team, and Hearts should have beat that Zurich team last season. They were, particularly at Tynecastle, they were there for the taking. So you might luck out in the draw. You might get a team that you could beat. You might get a team that you have no chance against, but you drop into the conference. But you might get a team from Switzerland or maybe Latvia, somebody like that, and you think, by the way, we've got a chance. And if you go into the group stage of the Europa League, I think it's double that.
Yeah, 7 million to bank.
For Aberdeen or Hearts, or even Hibs, St Mirren.
Yeah.
That is massive.
I think Hibs have blown it, Tam.
Yeah, I don't think Hibs will be in the top. I don't think Hibs will be there, but I think in terms of Aberdeen or Hearts, I think they'll be in the mix.
Yeah, disappointed with that overall, or are you just happy they're in the top 6?
I'm happy they're in the top 6 now, Peter, but I think that the turning points are sending off today. I think if Hibs keep 11 men in the park, then they probably win the game, but listen, at the end of the day, they're in the top 6, and they've got another derby against Hearts, which I think everybody will be looking forward to. They've got some big fixtures against Celtic and Rangers, so listen, if you're a Hibs fan, you're happy. You're happy tonight that your team ground out a 1-each draw with 10 men, and you get yourself into the top 6. But that is the minimum I think you expect as a Hibs fan, is the top 6 minimum.
Yeah. How do you think David Martindale will be feeling after today?
I think he'll be ruining the lack of form after the World Cup break, Peter. I think that we were in the studio that day that they lost 3-0 to Inverness in the Cup, and they were massive favourites to win that game, and I don't think they recovered for that. They seem to be. We were in here every week and we're going St Mirren 3, Livingston 0, or Inverness 3, Livingston. They seem to be beating 3-0, Rangers 3, Livingston 0 every week, and I think he'll bemoan the fact that they've been in poor form after that. And I don't think it's any fault of his. I just think, as Ruffy spoke about it yesterday, there's a lot of players in that team who are going to be away in the summer, and I think you've got guys like Devlin and Newbley and Fitzwater and all those guys. I'm not saying that they're not trying their best. They are trying their best, but in the back of your mind, you're not going to fly into 50-50 when you're thinking to yourself, I'm out of contract in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I think there's a wee bit of that about it as well. But Livingston were sitting in 4th before the World Cup, tucked in behind Hearts, and don't make the top 6. So it has been a wee bit of a mini collapse for Livingston not to get in the top 6, to be honest.
Yeah, I can tell you in the first of the 2 English FA Cup semi-finals, it is Manchester City 1, Sheffield United 0. The goal scorer, Riyad Mahrez, from the penalty spot, and he hit a penalty so far into the corner that even if a keeper dives it the right way, Tammy's not getting it.
Peter, that seems people say to me, it's not a bad penalty if you score. I think sometimes it can be a bad penalty if you score. If the goalkeeper goes the wrong way, I think that penalty there that Mahrez scored, and people might be watching it, you're right, even if the goalkeeper goes the right way, doesn't save it, and I think that's a good penalty. You know, you get. I've hit a lot of bad penalties that I'm lucky the goalkeepers went the wrong way, because it's kind of down the middle. I think those types of penalties where you go high in the top corner or low into the bottom corner, they're good penalties, because even if the goalie guesses right, they're still going in. Yeah, sometimes when a managing director or an owner or a chief executive makes the decision to sack a manager, you know, a lot of the fans worry about it and worry what the future holds. Can the next person in get something out of a team that's been underperforming? Well, Stephen McLean is the interim St Johnstone boss at the moment, desperately trying to keep St Johnstone away from the bottom end of the table into that playoff place, or dare I say it, relegation. Well, it was 1-1 against Hibs today. Here's what the Saints manager thought of it all.
There's only one team trying to win the game in the end. They were just sat in, happy for their point, so made it difficult with 10 men. I thought the players were excellent. Moved the ball quickly second half, we went down to 10 men, and then Marsh has had an outstanding save for Melka. He's had a couple of other saves as well. I thought it was a positive performance. Disappointed not to get the 3 points. I think the stats show it.
Yeah, well, he's disappointed, but with all due respect to Hibs are going to sit in, they've got 10 men.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. You know, there's only one team trying to win it towards the end. I think if you're any team with 11 men against 10, you're trying to win the game. I think the other team's happy with the point. Hibs will be delighted to get away from there with a point, with 10 men for the full second half. So, listen, it stops the rot for St Johnstone. They have been on a horrible run at the minute. I think with Ross County getting hammered today, they picking up a point. They go 6 points clear. And I think they've got a better goal difference as well. So, you know, they are probably one win away in the bottom 6 for getting away for trouble. Yeah. Andrew Breslin, I think, is maybe a Hibs fan. He's a Hibs fan, he's on it every week. Yeah. He mentions a Hibby. Yeah, he's a Hibby. And I can tell that because he's worked out something that may well be just, you know, a silver lining of, you know, missing out and possibly third place. He said, Peter, we can still beat Hearts again and stop them getting third. And that's the way sometimes you look at it when you're in a city. And I lived in Edinburgh for 12 years and you know, thoroughly enjoyed the banter of, you know, the bragging rights, the domination, who finishes above who. It's not the be all and end all. I must admit, I like to see Hibs and Hearts with stronger teams winning silver, whereas Hibs have proved over the last couple of years, and Hearts, and you know, but there's still that little edge of I want to finish above or deny our great rivals something. Yeah, because I think if you're a Hibs fan, you don't want Hearts getting that money, and I think it's the vice versa, Peter. And a lot of Hibs fans were disappointed. Remember the semi-final last season when it was Hibs v Hearts? Sean Maloney was the manager, and that was they were talking about it as a £4 or £5 million game. And I think Hibs got a man sent off, Joe Neal gets sent off, and Hearts won it. Because it's not just that on the day. It's you know that Hearts are going to get 4 or 5 million. Yeah. So that means they're inevitably going to strengthen their team, their squad. So I think if you're a Hibs fan, if you can't finish third, not only in terms of rivalry, they don't want Hearts to finish third, but you don't want them to get that money. So they'll be cheering Hearts Aberdeen on. Brian Haig says Hearts play Hibs in Aberdeen at Tynecastle. Brian clearly thinks he's worked out the permutations. You might be right, Brian. And Celtic, Rangers and St Mirren away, that could be third place, but only if we keep playing like we did today. I mean, it's still in the mix for Hearts. So Derby, it's calling it that, the Derby games at Tynecastle? The actual fixtures and how many teams have got, they tried to give people 19 home games, 19 away. It's not going to work out. Some teams are going to be playing a team away for the third time this season. But Brian's obviously saying, look, Hearts play Hibs and Aberdeen at Tynecastle. If it goes according to the way he thinks it's going, Monday we will know, because all the fixtures will be revealed, and then we'll be able to digest it. But nevertheless, it's still in the mix for Hearts. Yeah, they're only 2 points behind now, and as I said, they've done their goal difference, brilliant today. Aberdeen have got a great opportunity tomorrow. If Aberdeen go and pick up 3 points against Rangers, then I think that's third place all but guaranteed. So it's a huge game for them. Hearts will be wanting Rangers to do them a favour and pick up 3 points, and then it's all to play for. But I think the addition of the split in the playoffs has been a brilliant brilliant for Scottish football, because as I said, there's been a lot of teams and a lot of players been scunnered in February, March with nothing to play for. And I think there's always something to play for now.
And I'll tell you one thing, the Aberdeen fans and the Aberdeen board and the Aberdeen players, in fact, anybody who wears red, not happy with the SFA this week, certainly not happy at the rules that are in place at the moment, calling for a change. And Kaiser says Shinnie being out for 4 games is a blow. The Barmy SFA. Well, if Aberdeen don't win tomorrow and suddenly Hearts were able to catch them with the form they showed today against Ross County, it really would be one of those end of seasons where they would be far from happy. We are going to hear more from the managers. Of course, last night, we're looking at Man City winning today, Tam, at the moment, half-time, 1-0 in the FA Cup semi-final. Last night, Arsenal look as if they've blown it again, 3-3 Southampton.
Yeah, I switched it over after the end of the Queen's Park game, and I couldn't see that result coming at all. I think that, you look at the last 3 games for Arsenal, West Ham, Liverpool away 2-0 up, West Ham 2-0 up, and then last night at home to Southampton. They've done well. I think if the game had went a couple of minutes, they'd won it.
Yeah.
But to lose 3 goals, they've lost 7 goals. Now they were the best team in the league defensively until the last 3 games, and they've lost 7 goals in 3 games. So they have absolutely bottled it for me. And Man City win the league. Man City will beat them on Wednesday and going to win it.
Well, there you are. Heard it here first. Even Arteta concedes the goals they were losing. Crazy.
Today is clear. You cannot concede 3 goals the way we did to win games in the Premier League. Unless you make a miracle and a performance like we did in the last 40-50 minutes, that you still have the chance to win it.
Yeah, well, as Tam says, Man City will beat them at the Etihad on Wednesday. What do you think? In the Scottish Premiership today, well, it was an interesting point for Stephen McLean. Didn't look too happy, but certainly highlighted the fact that they maybe should have got the points when they were playing against the 10 men of Hibs. What did Lee Johnson make of it?
Yeah, because obviously a frivolous appeal ends up in an extra game, and I don't trust it. I don't trust. It was a really poor performance from the official today. Like as bad as I've seen. I mean, the game was bad in terms of the pitch wasn't conducive to any sort of philosophy. It was a battle and a battle at best, and I should be coming in feeling quite happy that we've got the job done, if you know what I mean, in terms of we're now competing for a European place, gone up a place in the league, and it's a tough place to come, but it's made tougher when there's such poor consistency.
Yeah, so he's not happy. He's not happy with the referee. I've never heard so many managers, and it's frustrating because it's the difference between, a place in the league, financial. It could be Europe. They're not happy with the match officials, and it's become more intense over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it seems to be every game now, Peter, that managers having to go to the officials. We've not seen the tackle. Obviously, I think he thinks it wasn't a red card. We'll have to see it again for ourselves, but. I think it's disappointing when you come off and Hibs, job done in the top 6, decent point away from home with 10 men, and as I said, he jumped up a place and he's talking about referees. So we want to be talking after games about great goals, great performances from players, and we seem to be talking about referees every week, and that's disappointing. But I just think the standard overall in their country is poor in terms of refereeing and VAR. I thought it would help the referees, but it doesn't really seem to be doing that.
Yeah, on this Saturday show, you have heard from Ange Postecoglou. You've also heard from Michael Beale, Todd Cantwell. You've heard from Lee Johnson as well. We are bringing you managers' reactions to the results today. What about Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell after a well-earned, hard-fought point at Celtic Park?
Nobody's been able to come and take anything off them here. I don't want to be sitting celebrating points, but I think when the nature of the game and the kind of deficit in golfing, finance, stature of the club, all that sort of stuff, I think it just speaks volumes for my players. I thought they were outstanding to a man. We had a couple of tests with guys coming off the park and a couple of wee knocks and niggles, and the boys that replaced them are sitting there ready to go. I've just said to the players, biggest thing for me is not having an ego, and it's something I believe in so much. And for us to go and set ourselves up and play the way we did today, if one player has an ego, then the whole thing falls down and Celtic comfortably win that game. So that's the bit that pleased me, and that's when you know you've got buy-in.
Well, I think Stuart Kettlewell should celebrate that point, because managers have gone there with their teams and just haven't been able to even lay a glove on Celtic. And today, to get a point, I think is a marvellous result.
That is a marvellous result. I think that he's obviously playing it down in terms of he doesn't want to be celebrating a point. But you go to Celtic or Rangers away from home, you're biting your hand off for a point at the start of the game. And it's interesting what he said there about players with ego. He's probably asked players to play a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe defensively do a lot of donkey work. And as he said, if somebody goes, I don't want to do that, then it all falls apart.
What were you like as a player when I'm at? Did you not have to play out on the right side at times for Hibs?
I played a lot of games right wing for Hibs, right midfield for Hibs, and I hated playing there. And Bobby Wilmson used to, because we had so many strikers. You know, Derek Riordan, Gary O'Connor, Stephen Dobie and myself were the 4 strikers, so he tried to get us on the same team. So I would inevitably have to go drift into away there, and I hated defending.
Yeah.
And, he's talking about players with an ego, going doing the dirty work and all that. That wasn't me. If I was in that Motherwell team today, Celtic would have won 8-0.
Yeah.
Because I would have went a huff.
Yeah. That's probably one of the reasons Tam's sitting alongside me here on a Saturday afternoon and not playing in the MLS. I've got to give a mention to Niall Kane, who watches the programme religiously.
Oh, Niall will be buzzing tonight.
Oh, he's a Motherwell fan. He says, I'm celebrating a point away at Parkhead, and so you should, Niall. Brian says it was a well hard fought point as well for Motherwell, and they deserve tremendous credit, and I think they do. And I think also we should celebrate the positives in games as well, which is Kevin Van Veen scoring for Motherwell, and he's banging in the goals right, left and centre. And as Tam said there, maybe if he get to 30 goals for the season, would he be the player of the year? Can anybody stop Kyogo getting it? Could it be Lawrence Shanklin, who's bagged 25 for the season as well? We should be promoting that. We try and celebrate as much as possible the positives in the game, as well as, of course, people like a right good moan when it comes to some of the refereeing decisions. But today, I wonder what's the highlight for you, Tam, as well as Stuart Kettlewell and the Motherwell performance. I think Derek McInnes will be, absolutely buzzing after that win against St Mirren.
Yeah, I think the result of the day is definitely Motherwell getting a point.
Yeah,
that's the result. That's the big talking point of the day, is Motherwell getting the first team to take points off of Celtic at Parkhead. But I think you're right in terms of, I think the Kilmarnock winning at St Mirren's almost as big a shock, because, as I said, 2 points away from home all season. Absolutely dreadful away from home. No, not one away from home all season. They go to a packed St Mirren Park where St Mirren need to win to get into the top 6 as well, and they've been very good at home this season. So they go there and win the game comfortably 2-0. So I think the result of the day is Motherwell, but I think St Mirren's not far, Kilmarnock's not far behind them.
Yeah, so 1-2, and then of course Dundee United for 3 consecutive wins.
Three consecutive wins, great for them as well. And they go and win the game as well. So, and I think Cove Rangers win at Arbroath.
Yeah,
Cove Rangers, we sit in here every week and it's 5-6.
It was. I actually wondered to myself, is Paul Hartley going to be in the door and out the door quickly?
And they draw level with Hamilton at the bottom. Both of them are on 30 points with 2 games left. So you talk about squeaky bum time, and Alec Ferguson famously phrased that years ago. There's certainly squeaky bum time at both ends of the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and great result for Cove Rangers, and of course we had Ali out there for Hamilton against Partick Thistle as well. Inverness and Dundee shared the points with a 1-1 draw. Morton defeating Raith Rovers by 1-0. In League One, it was Airdrie 1, Dunfermline 1, Alloa 1, Falkirk 4. Good win there away from home. Edinburgh 2, Kelty Hearts 2. Peterhead 1, Clyde 1 and Queen of the South 2, Montrose 3. In League 2, we have to say congratulations Stirling Albion, champions, with a 3-1 win over Annan Athletic, 3-1 Stranraer against Elgin. Elsewhere, 4-0 Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Dumbarton 1, East Fife 0 and Albion Rovers 3, Stenhousemuir 1. Some good results there.
That's some good results, and I think it's Albion Rovers 1. Have you got League 2 table there, Peter?
I'm going to get the League 2 table for you, Tam, and tell you on the League 2 table at the bottom end of it.
Who's bottom?
Is Albion Rovers on 36 points, Elgin on 37, Bonnyrigg Rose on 38.
Well, that is, we were just going to Brechin. That was a big game today as well. You get the score with them, Brechin and Bucky. Is it Bucky?
Bucky Thistle 0, Brechin City 2.
Brechin City win the league, so they had to win that league to go into the playoffs. So I think if you're Albion Rovers or Elgin and you drop into that lowland league, you might struggle to get out of that, a la Brechin, a la East Stirling, clubs like that, Berwick Rangers who can't get out of that. So I think that's that's going to be some big games as well with Brecon City.
I'll tell you why I'm delighted, because we've managed to, before we go off here, we've got a delighted Derek McInnes.
A big performance, important the team's seen us winning. I'm gutted it's took us so long to win away from home, but if you're going to start winning, it's now, and it means we're going into these post-split games now on the back of having won away from home, which I think is important for the supporters, but more importantly for the players, that they have that belief, shot of confidence, beating a top 6 team, beating a good team like St Mirren. Stevie's done a brilliant job here, and no many teams win here. I think the Old Firm and maybe Motherwell first game of the season. So the challenge to win the game of the day was always a big task, but we've done it well. Can't wait for the head-to-heads now. Really looking forward to still having a scrap with these teams run about us. And I think that team today, that performance today, will do us no harm. But more of the same is required. It's no kicking back on the back of that. We've got to go right through the line, and hopefully we can do exactly that.
Big result there for Kilmarnock, and he's relishing it because he's got the experience to relish a battle against the other teams.
Yeah, listen, guys, Alan Power in there and big Christian Doige and guys like that who you know, can mix it physically. And this is what it's all going to boil down to these last 5 games, and they're all playing against each other. And you know, Kilmarnock, we're a wee 4-point gap now. You know, they're looking and going, "Blimey, if we win our first couple of games in the split, we're safe." And for Ross County, they are looking into the abyss at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, give us your thoughts. Who is going to go into the playoff place? Who's going to be relegated? We're now at that point where we now know what's happened in the split and what's going to happen at the bottom end. Who's going to be relegated? Who's going in the playoffs? Give us your thoughts on that. Who's going to be Player of the Year? Because as ever on a Saturday afternoon, we bring you the managers and the players' reactions, but we also look ahead to the games coming up, not only tomorrow but next week, the Scottish Cup semi-finals as well. It's going to be a cracking week ahead on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We've got a cracking 1-to-1 coming up, Tam, with obviously Celtic and Rangers in the Scottish Cup semi-final in mind. I love the build-up to these games, do you?
Yeah, listen, this is an enormous game. You know, Celtic looking to win the treble. Celtic win this game, they've won the treble. You know, Rangers win it to stop the treble, and they've got a chance to win they'll win the Scottish Cup for me. This is the final, so it all boils down to one game for Celtic and Rangers. Rangers could finish the season empty-handed, or they could go away in the summer, you know, happy with winning the Scottish Cup. So all to play for. Yeah, Tommy says the bottom 6 is going to be far more exciting than the top 6. Tommy, nobody's arguing with you. You're 100% correct. Alan Robertson makes a great point, and I wonder if we'll cast our eye over this, Tam. Would you guys like to see Wrexham win tonight? After watching the TV show, I've been following them all season, not for the Hollywood owners, but for the people, players in the show. Yeah, absolutely. Although, you know, McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, it's just been an unbelievable story. I watched some of the previews today and I thought to myself, I mean, as a Hollywood script, it's fantastic, isn't it? It is, and listen, they've put a lot of money into it. You know, it's not easy to, we know that ourselves, it's kind of black hole at the time, but yeah, I think it's different with they guys because social media is now enormous. So they've obviously done a show, I think it was on, was it Disney Plus or Amazon? Yeah, Disney Plus. Yeah, and that went down a storm. You know, and they know if they can take them into the league, which they're going to do, maybe get them into the league, they'll get their money back. You know, in terms of I think they're going on tour to America in the summer. So yeah, it's been a great story, but you know, you would expect with the money that's been invested that they would be, you know, winning that league. Yeah, of course. My daughter's a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. She would just, she would just watch. I'm a massive Blake Lively fan. His wife. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of hers. Okay, and they're in. Only you and Ruffy could take it off at a different tangent, to be honest with you. Listen, there are a lot of happy managers, but there's one that's maybe reflecting on what might have been. That's the Livingston boss, David Martindale.
Disappointment. Disappointment's probably the overriding emotion. I think the players have gave me everything up to match day 33. Spoke about it in there, story of the game really. McGrath scores, Shinnie doesn't he? Like, I don't mean Shinnie should score. There's a shot on target for both teams really. Oh, he's gutted. You can understand why. Yeah, as I said to you, they looked as if they were a stick on for top 6 at one point. I think if he looks back though, Tam, he should feel tremendous pride with what they're achieving. I mean, they're finishing, you know, above teams like Dundee United, you know, Kilmarnock, you know, teams with bigger budgets than them. And Ross County, I think, even got bigger budgets. So
I think you can be proud of it, but I think, you know, after the World Cup, they've fell off a cliff in terms of their form. They were sitting in 4th, pushing for 3rd before the World Cup break at Christmas, so he'll be disappointed. But overall, I think if Livingston can finish 7th this season, for example, he's done a great job. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. What an afternoon of football and chat. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you for contributing, because we love the banter, a wee bit of a noise up here and there, a few people getting leathered. Managers, players, we're giving you it all in the programme. I don't know what more we can give you. What about fans? We've given you the fans on this show, and we've also had reporters at all the games in the Scottish Premiership. On a day when Hearts thumped Ross County 6-1, Celtic dropped 2 points, Motherwell get a point at Celtic Park 1-1, Dundee United with a 2-0 win, Jim Goodwin, his 3rd consecutive win as manager there at United. Stephen McLean, interim boss, gets a 1-1 against 10-man of Hibs, and who would have bet on Derek McInnes getting a win away from home? They managed it 2-0 against St Mirren today in the Scottish Premiership. We now know exactly where the teams are finishing after the split. St Mirren, well done getting into the top 6, a tremendous achievement, and well done to Stuart Kettlewell. We think that's the result of the day at Celtic Park. There's more reaction. Aberdeen against Rangers tomorrow. Adam Binney will be at Pittodrie. Follow it across all our social media channels, and the build up to the Scottish Cup semi-finals is here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel all this week. Don't miss it. From Tam and myself, thanks for watching.